My name is Lin Wanshu. I woke up to the sound of a baby crying. My eyes felt heavy, but when I managed to open them, I saw a chubby little child calling me Mama. I was shocked. Where did this baby come from? And why wasn't I in my spacious villa, but in an old mud brick house? The sight of the shabby walls and simple furnishings confused me even more. I thought I had died, but somehow I was here. Memories I didn't recognize began flooding my mind, and I realized I had been reborn. The baby was mine, and I was now married to a decorated soldier, Qin Yan. This was a completely different life from the one I remembered, where I had been a wealthy businesswoman betrayed by my husband. In my past life, I had no children and a loveless marriage with a man who tricked me into giving him everything, only to betray me. I eventually took revenge, but just as I regained control of my life, I was hit by a car. When I woke up, I found myself back in 1974 with a new life, a baby in my arms, and a mysterious space hidden in a small red mark on my wrist. This space was my secret weapon. It held a magical spring, plants, and all sorts of supplies I had collected in my past life. It also had medical books left behind by my mother's family, who were skilled doctors. I had spent years studying these books and teaching myself medicine. As I adjusted to this new reality, I remembered something terrifying. In my past life, I heard that Qin Yan died shortly after a certain festival. Now, I had to figure out how to change this fate and protect my family while navigating this second chance at life. I realized that even though I wasn't close to Qin Yan in either of my lives, he was still my child's father. I couldn't let my baby grow up without him. With only a week until the Dragon Boat Festival, I grew anxious. I didn't know when exactly Qin Yan's accident happened in my past life, but I couldn't sit still. I had to find him. Be good, meow meow. Wait for Mama. I'll pack some clothes, and we'll go find Daddy, I said to my little one, soothing her. After packing a few essentials, I knew I'd need a travel permit, so I planned to see the team leader. Thankfully, I had letters from Qin Yan to help me find him. Holding Meow Meow close, I left the house. It was work time, so the yard was empty. Qin Yan's family shared a spacious, tidy yard, good conditions for our poor village. As I carried Meow Meow towards the fields, a familiar voice called out. It was He Manxiang, someone I'd grown up with. Seeing her stirred strange feelings. She had married the man who betrayed me in my past life. Our conversation was tense. She acted curious about Qin Yan, but I noticed her probing questions and smug attitude. Her fashionable clothes and demeanor stood out in this conservative era, and I began to suspect. Was she also reborn? Her mocking words about Qin Yan's safety confirmed my hunch. I countered her with pointed remarks about her own life, hinting at her lack of children. Her face darkened, but she quickly brushed it off, flaunting her husband's supposed affection. I didn't engage further, wished her well, and left. Her games weren't my concern. I had more urgent matters. Reaching the fields, I found the team leader. Before I could explain my need to find Qin Yan, a panicked voice interrupted us. Sun Shifeng, someone from the commune is here. They say your second son is injured. My heart sank. The danger I feared was already here. When I heard Qin Yan was injured, my mind went blank. My mother-in-law, Sun Shifeng, nearly fainted on the spot, so I steadied her. A man from the commune confirmed the news, but didn't provide details, only that a family member needed to visit him. Panic filled the air, but I kept calm for everyone's sake. I'll go see him, I said firmly, promising to take care of him. The team leader quickly arranged a travel permit, and my brother-in-law, Qin Hua, decided to accompany me. Traveling alone as a woman, especially with a baby, wasn't safe. We packed quickly some clothes, food, and eggs my mother-in-law insisted we take to help Qin Yan recover. Holding Meow Meow, I boarded the tractor to the train station, my heart heavy but determined. The journey was exhausting. The train was crowded with young soldiers and others, making it hard to stay unnoticed. Though I tried to keep a low profile, my looks drew unwanted attention. A young girl questioned us, but when I explained we were visiting an injured soldier, she backed off, though her gaze remained unfriendly. After over a day of travel, we finally arrived at the Yun Province train station. A soldier named Zheng Sanqiang greeted us, sent by the regiment to pick us up. He recognized us right away, though I wasn't sure how. My focus was on Qin Yan. When I asked about his condition, Zheng's expression darkened. He explained that Qin Yan hadn't woken up yet. If he didn't regain consciousness soon, there was a risk he could become a vegetative state. My heart sank, but I held on to hope. I was here now, and I wouldn't give up on him. When I heard Qin Yan might not wake up, my heart sank, but Qin Hua was even more anxious. He demanded to see his brother immediately, and the soldier, Zheng Sanqiang, quickly led us to a military jeep. Holding Miao Miao, I sat in the back, feeling my nerves intensify as we approached the hospital. The drive through the small border city reminded me how different this life was from the one I left behind. I barely knew Qin Yan in my past life, and now he was my husband and Miao Miao's father. The thought of losing him terrified me. I was prepared to do anything, even use my spiritual spring water, to save him. When we arrived at the military hospital, Zheng led us straight to Qin Yan's room on the 5th floor. My heart raced as I approached the door, holding Miao Miao tightly. Inside, the dim light revealed Qin Yan lying motionless, his head heavily bandaged. Qin Hua was overcome with emotion, barely able to speak as he stood by his brother's side. I stepped closer, my thoughts swirling. Seeing him like this was surreal. He had a strong, handsome face, one that now belonged to my husband. Leaning over, I softly spoke, "Qin Yan, it's me, Wan Shu. I brought our daughter to see you. She's never met her father, so you have to wake up and show her how amazing you are." Miao Miao seemed to sense the moment, waking up and calling out, "Mama." Her innocent voice broke the heavy silence, and I turned her towards Qin Yan. "Miao Miao, this is your daddy. Say, daddy." Even Zheng chimed in, encouraging Qin Yan to wake up, but there was no response. Later, Zheng insisted we eat, and I reluctantly agreed. Afterward, I stayed in a room with Miao Miao to watch over Qin Yan while Qin Hua rested. Sitting by his side, I began to talk, mostly about our daughter and how wonderful she was. Then a thought struck me. What if you don't like having a daughter? I teased, half serious. Well, too bad. She's my precious baby, and if you don't love her, I won't stay with you. Just as I finished speaking, his hand moved slightly. My heart leapt. Was he waking up? When I saw Qin Yan's hand move, I couldn't believe it. "Qin Yan, can you hear me?" I asked, my voice trembling with excitement. Little Miao Miao toddled over, grabbing his hand with her tiny fingers. "Hand!" she exclaimed, her babyish voice melting my heart. I told her, "Yes, that's your daddy's hand," and encouraged Qin Yan to respond, but his hand didn't move again. Disappointed but understanding, I tried to focus on caring for Miao Miao. It had been a long journey, and we both needed to freshen up. Later, as I fed Miao Miao, I turned to face Qin Yan. Even unconscious, his presence made me nervous. I hadn't shared true intimacy with a man before, and my shyness crept up. Miao Miao, of course, was oblivious and eagerly demanded her milk, her little hands pulling at me. I gave in, focusing on her needs. Just as I finished, I felt a shift in the room. I looked up and locked eyes with Qin Yan. He was awake. My face flushed with embarrassment as I scrambled to pull my clothes together. "You're awake?" I stammered. "Just now," he replied, his voice hoarse but steady. Flustered, I rushed out to get the nurse, leaving him alone with Miao Miao. When I returned, Qin Yan looked at our daughter with a mix of awe and tenderness. He tried to comfort her as she cried for me, but his inexperience was obvious. Despite his injuries, he attempted to sit up, but I quickly stopped him. "You can't move yet," I said, helping him lie back down. The doctors were amazed by his recovery, given the severity of his injuries. They explained he was no longer in immediate danger, though his future in the military was uncertain due to his wounds. Hearing this weighed heavily on me. Qin Yan had always been a hero in my eyes, someone willing to sacrifice everything for his country. I couldn't imagine how he'd feel if he had to leave the life he loved. Lin Wanshu did not say anything about his injuries. After returning to the ward, Xiao Miao Miao had already fallen asleep. Qin Yan had probably been unconscious for too long, so he was not sleepy at this moment. He just tilted his head and quietly looked at the little one on the other bed. The little nose, the little mouth, the little body sleeping in a sprawling state, but it made people feel very cute. Just looking at her, Qin Yan's heart softened. Life is really incredible. Lin Wanshu walked forward gently, afraid to wake up the baby, and did not dare to make any noise. She only lowered her voice and asked, "Are you hungry? I'll borrow the cafeteria to make you some noodles." During the days he was unconscious, the hospital had been feeding him liquid food. Lin Wanshu had just asked the doctor that he could eat something soft and light when he woke up. Even if she didn't ask the doctor, Lin Wanshu actually knew how to take care of patients in this situation. After all, the medical knowledge she learned in those years was not in vain. Qin Yan wanted to say no need to bother and wait until the cafeteria opens tomorrow morning before eating, but his stomach didn't cooperate at all and even made a gurgling sound. This sound was particularly abrupt in the quiet ward, and it was hard to ignore. Lin Wanshu pursed her lips and smiled. "Wait here, I'll be back soon." After that, she took out some noodles from home from the bag in the corner, took out an aluminum lunchbox and went downstairs. The cafeteria was not closed at this time, but there was no food. Lin Wanshu greeted the people in the cafeteria and entered the kitchen after getting permission. It happened that there were cabbages in the kitchen. She originally wanted to buy one, but the chef in the cafeteria told her to use it as she pleased and refused to charge. In the end, Lin Wanshu only picked 3 or 4 leaves. Fearing that his wound would get inflamed, no eggs were put in the noodles, just a simple plain noodles. But after all, she started her life by selling food in her previous life, so her cooking skills were naturally impeccable. Even a simple dish of green plain noodles makes people salivate. The chef didn't pay attention to the situation in the kitchen until he saw her smooth movements, and then he came closer to take a look out of curiosity. The noodles in the pot are attractive in color and are dotted with a few crisp and tender cabbages, which makes people very greedy. "Comrade, your cooking skills are good." Layman watched the excitement, while experts see the doorway. He has been in charge of the kitchen for more than 10 years, and he doesn't even need to taste it. He can tell how good the noodles she makes are just by looking at them. "No, I'm just thinking about it." Lin Wanshu smiled modestly, and then said, "My aluminum lunchbox can't hold it anymore. If the master doesn't mind, these noodles will be left for you to have a midnight snack." When Lin Wanshu took the noodles, she deliberately took a little more. Since she wanted to borrow the kitchen, she couldn't just say nothing. Otherwise, who would be willing to give her convenience next time? But noodles are precious things in this era, so how could the master accept her? "No, there are spare aluminum lunchboxes in the cafeteria. I'll pack them for you, and you can just bring them back tomorrow." "Master, don't be polite to me. I may have to trouble you tomorrow." After hearing what she said, the master didn't refuse. But he was really happy in his heart. "Okay, if you still need the kitchen, just come to me. I'm here every day." After solving the problem of using the kitchen, Lin Wanshu was in a good mood. She said hello to the master and went out with the noodles. When returning to the ward, Qin Yan still maintained the original posture. It was as if he couldn't see the little thing enough. Lin Wanshu was afraid that he twisted his neck. Fortunately, he turned his head again after hearing the movement. "Do and move, I'll shake the bed." Fearing that he would hurt the wound, Lin Wanshu spoke quickly. "Qin Yan." He originally wanted to support himself to get up, but pretended to be calm and released his strength. But the eyes that were originally staring at the little baby now changed their target. Lin Wanshu put the noodles on the table and pulled a stool over. He watched. Lin Wanshu went to the end of the bed and raised the headboard. He also watched. Lin Wanshu felt very uncomfortable with him looking at her. Finally, she couldn't help but glared at him. "Why do you always look at me?" It was called glaring, but in the man's eyes, it was a kind of coquettishness and shyness belonging to a woman. Qin Yan's eyes were a little more surprised, but his Adam's apple rolled up and down unconsciously. After a pause, he said, "You are my wife." I don't know if it was an illusion, but the man seemed to have emphasized the word wife a little too much, and Lin Wanshu's ears felt a little numb. She spat at herself in her heart, thinking it was useless, and she quickly regained her composure. "The doctor said you can't move too much, I'll feed you." After saying this calmly, she picked up the aluminum lunchbox on the table, picked up the clean chopsticks, and prepared to feed people. Qin Yan looked at her red ears. His eyes were deep and unfathomable, and he didn't know what he was thinking.
Okay.
Before coming up, Lin Wanshu had soaked the aluminum lunchbox with cold water so the noodles were not so hot. But she still picked it up and blew it before handing it to his mouth. Lin Wanshu has always been meticulous in doing things, and she is an extremely gentle person. Qin Yan's heart melted halfway before the noodles were put into his mouth. In fact, until now, he still has a sense of unreality. She would actually bring her children all the way here to see him. This is something he dared not even think about in his dreams. After all, he knew very well that she didn't like him. For so many years, he sent her so many letters, but she never gave him a single word in response. Even when they met in the team, she always looked so unfamiliar. Originally, Qin Yan thought that they would never be together, but he didn't expect that his family called him to go back for a blind date. And the person he met was not someone else, but the person he thought about day and night. Knowing that he had to meet her, how could Qin Yan sit still? He asked for leave to go home overnight. From meeting to engagement to marriage, everything was incredibly fast and incredibly smooth. Even on the wedding night, he felt like he was in a dream. And wasn't that night just a beautiful dream? As soon as he woke up from the dream, he was urgently recalled to the army. This separation lasted for 2 years, and until the moment he was blown up by the bomb, the only thought in his mind was unwillingness. He married her home because he was unwilling, but she died like this. I don't know if it was because of this obsession that he survived tenaciously, but he just couldn't wake up. Until I heard her voice. She said she brought the child to see him? Is it his and her child? And asked him if he liked his daughter? If he didn't like it, he wouldn't live with him. This directly stimulated Qin Yan. She is his woman. He finally married his wife home. Who would she want to live with if she doesn't live with him? After this stimulation, Qin Yan finally woke up not long after. And from the time he woke up to now, everything has been as beautiful as a dream. She doesn't hate him, and she takes care of him so gently and carefully. At this moment, Qin Yan felt that even if she didn't like him in this life, it was worth it. Qin Yan's heart was surging, but his face remained calm. He only talked to her about the little one next to him. Speaking of Miao Miao, Lin Wanshu's little face suddenly lit up, and her eyes also exuded amazing light. Miao Miao is very well behaved. I usually give her something to play with when I work, and she doesn't make trouble. She is also very smart. She can call Grandpa and Grandma at such a young age. Although she didn't call it standard, she was good in her mother's eyes. When it comes to little Miao Miao, Lin Wanshu seemed to have endless words to say. But Qin Yan didn't have the slightest impatience. And from the few words she said, he keenly caught that she often had to carry Miao Miao to work in the fields. Although she didn't complain about these hardships, Qin Yan couldn't help but feel distressed. In the past 2 years, due to the intensification of border frictions, he couldn't take care of his family. Even if there was a chance to write a letter, he could only write a few words in a hurry and send it back with his salary, just to make her life easier. But the conflict here could escalate at any time, and receiving letters was a difficult thing. In addition, she had never written to him, so Qin Yan had no way of knowing her recent situation. He never expected that she would give birth to a child for him. Thank you for your hard work in the past 2 years. Lin Wanshu was stunned by the undisguised heartache in the man's eyes. Then she lowered her eyes uncomfortably.
What's so hard about it?
The aunts and sisters-in-law in the team have all been through this. Women in this era are very miserable. They have to carry their children to work in the fields during the day and go home at night to wash clothes, cook, and do housework. And men basically don't get involved in other things except work. If a man does housework and takes care of children at home, He will definitely be laughed at when he goes out. What's more, in everyone's eyes, doing housework and taking care of children are what women should do.
What's so hard about it?
Hasn't it been like this for thousands of years? Lin Wanshu didn't expect Qin Yan to notice her hard work. It would be a lie to say she wasn't surprised.
I sent all my salary to you.
You don't have to work so hard. In those days, the salary of a battalion commander was generally 114 yuan, and they were border guards, with additional subsidies plus other bonuses, which averaged more than 150 yuan a month. Such income was already a lot in an era when worker salaries were generally 20 to 30 yuan. I gave all my salary to Mom. Lin Wanshu did receive money sent back from the army, but there was no word in it except the money. She thought it was sent home, so she handed it in directly. Qin Yan was a little surprised. That's for you. You don't have to give it to Mom. I sent it separately to Mom. Lin Wanshu. So she meant well but ended up doing something bad? What would her mother-in-law think? Before she could think about it, Qin Yan continued. Also, I left a box for you that night. Didn't you open it to see? Box? Lin Wanshu blinked and finally remembered a square iron box. Those are your things. I didn't move them and just put them away. Qin Yan. It seems that all the words he said before leaving were in vain. She didn't hear a word. The box contained the money he had saved over the years, as well as various bills. Did she not even look at them? It was at this moment that Lin Wanshu realized that this man had actually given all his belongings to her. And she was so tired that night that she couldn't even lift her fingers. How could she know what he said? Qin Yan was helpless, but he couldn't bear to say a word to her. In the end, he could only say, just do some easy work in the future. It doesn't matter if you get fewer work points. In fact, he wanted her to stop working and it would be best if she came with the army, but he was afraid of scaring people, so he could only do it step by step. Although Lin Wanshu looked gentle, she was indeed not the kind of daughter who liked to rely on others. Otherwise, she would not have been able to save such a large family business in her previous life. But his words still made her feel warm. Okay, I got it. I'll do some easy work in the future. In fact, she didn't plan to do too much hard work. After all, the things in the space alone were enough for her to live a luxurious life that ordinary people could hardly imagine. She had earned the money she should have earned in her previous life, and had enjoyed almost everything she should have enjoyed. Money was no longer that important to her, as long as it was enough. In this life, she only wanted to do what she liked. Looking at her well-behaved appearance, Qin Yan felt sour and itchy in his heart, and he had the urge to touch her head. It was so scary that he finally restrained himself. I'll ask my comrades to bring milk powder back in a few days, and Miao Miao will drink milk powder in the future. Lin Wanshu was still immersed in her own thoughts. When she heard this, she blinked in confusion. Milk powder? Why did you suddenly mention this? Miao Miao is older, and it's not appropriate to drink milk. Qin Yan said vaguely. And Lin Wanshu finally remembered the embarrassing scene when he woke up just now. His face suddenly turned red again. Qin Yan was also a little uncomfortable, but he still asked with concern, Does it still hurt? Do you want me to give you some medicine to wipe it? Lin Wanshu, No, thank you. Hearing her gritting her teeth, Qin Yan finally said nothing. But there was still some worry in his eyes. Lin Wanshu glared at him, then stood up and took the empty aluminum lunchbox to wash. When they came back, the two didn't say anything. After all, it was already late. Lin Wanshu lay down beside Xiao Miao Miao. Since she was reborn, everything has happened too suddenly. Now that she can finally lie down, Lin Wanshu can't sleep. In the end, she could only open the space and look through the medical books and notes she took when she left the team. Lin Wanshu originally had a very good memory, and with her inherited medical talent, she could basically remember all the medical books she had read. The notes left by her grandfather recorded many medical records that he had handled. Lin Wanshu was fascinated when she saw them. I don't know when I fell asleep. Qin Yan tilted his head to look at the big and small people next to him, and his heart seemed to be filled with something. At the same time, the Red Star Brigade was also quiet, with only occasional frog sounds and crickets. Just when everyone fell asleep, He Manxiang stared at the dark and cold thatched roof. Listening to Zhao Mingyuan's snoring next to her, her heart seemed to be scratched by something, and she couldn't calm down. I don't know how long it took, but she seemed to have made up her mind and climbed out of the bed quietly. Then she took off all her clothes. In the moonlight, looking at the gentle and handsome man next to her, He Manxiang couldn't help but feel hot all over. Without hesitation, she quietly reached out to him. But before she touched him, the next moment, her hand was grabbed by someone. "What are you doing?" In the dark night, the man's voice was filled with undisguised impatience. He Manxiang felt humiliated immediately. She was like this, but he reacted like this? "Zhao Mingyuan, are you still a man? We have been married for 2 years, and you don't even touch me." She couldn't help but lowered her voice and said angrily. Hearing this, Zhao Mingyuan was silent for a moment, and his original impatience also subsided. "I'm sorry, I don't like to be disturbed when I'm asleep." Seeing that he apologized to her, He Manxiang didn't know what to say. But she had taken off her clothes. If she didn't succeed today, wouldn't it be a waste of effort? Thinking of this, she fell softly towards him again. "It's okay. It's my fault for disturbing you." While saying soft words, her hands wandered restlessly on his body. In her arms was a soft body, without a single piece of clothing. If it were an ordinary man, he would have turned into a wolf long ago. But Zhao Mingyuan was not excited at all, and instead felt nauseous. Seeing her hand reaching out to an unspeakable place, Zhao Mingyuan's face changed, and he reached out again to grab her, and then pushed her away from his arms. "Manxiang, what's wrong with you today?" There was confusion in his voice, as if he didn't understand why she was so shameless. If it were an ordinary woman, she would have been ashamed. But He Manxiang was experienced after all, and her face was much thicker than that of a girl. "Mingyuan, look at me. Don't you have any ideas?" she said shyly in a seductive pose. When Zhao Mingyuan saw the white body, he felt more and more disgusted in his heart. Originally, he just planned to marry a woman back as a decoration, first to give an explanation to his mother, and second to prevent others from thinking he was abnormal. But he didn't expect that He Manxiang was not someone who could be fooled. At first, she was just tentative, but now she has taken off all her clothes, and she is just about to pounce on him. If Zhao Mingyuan can do it, he will definitely want a baby of his own. But he is not interested in women at all, and that thing can't stand up, so how easy is it to have a child? Suddenly, he remembered Wang Yongsheng's proposal. He was originally extremely resistant, but now he has to consider it seriously. Such an important matter, of course we have to choose a good day when the team is a little free. He coaxed He Manxiang while suppressing his nausea. But he was still a little hesitant in his heart. Did he really want to do that? Although He Manxiang was not satisfied, it was at least a step forward.
Well,
I'll wait for you." The ambiguous words were half spoken and half left, which was really a temptation. It's a pity that she was just throwing a wink to the blind. If he wasn't afraid that she would see something, Zhao Mingyuan would not even bother to perfunctorily. "Go to sleep, you still have to work tomorrow." He turned around and soon, snoring sounded again in the room. He Manxiang was still in that seductive posture. Seeing him fall asleep like this, she felt angry and humiliated. Of course, she knew that Zhao Mingyuan was not normal, but he was the richest man in the future. When she thought of the big villa and the dazzling luxury cars and luxury goods, she found excuses to make up for all his problems. He must not know how good she was. After trying, she didn't believe he could escape from her palm. When she thought of what was about to happen, she was very excited. When she gave birth to a son, wouldn't all his property belong to her in the future? Looking at the hole in the roof, He Manxiang thought happily. That night, He Manxiang slept soundly. In her dream, she was wearing gold and silver and sitting in a pile of money. Next to her was the widow Lin Wanshu, who was like a crazy woman, scolding her for stealing her man. The scene in the dream was so beautiful that He Manxiang woke up with a giggle. But before she could savor her sweet dream, the angry roar of her mother-in-law Lu Juhua was heard outside the door. "Sleep, sleep, sleep. You only know how to sleep," You have sores in your mouth and pus in your ace. You can't even lay an egg. Why don't you just sleep to death?" Lu Juhua had a loud voice to begin with, and after this roar, several families nearby couldn't help but come to the door and peek in. What is Lu Juhua scolding again? What else can I scold? Isn't it just Himanxiang? I've been married to the Zhao family for 2 years, and I don't even have a baby. No wonder Lu Juhua got angry. In this era, if a woman hasn't gotten pregnant after 1 year of marriage, everyone will think that the woman is infertile. Basically, no one will doubt the man. After hearing Lu Juhua's angry scolding, others also expressed their understanding. It's better to marry a hen than a daughter-in-law who can't give birth to a child. At least she can lay eggs. I didn't understand why Himanxiang chose a rascal like Zhao Mingyuan. It turns out that she found him because she knew she couldn't give birth. Himanxiang's room happened to be close to the door. When she heard these discussions, her face suddenly turned as black as the bottom of a pot. They knew nothing. Not only could she give birth, but she was also very good at it. In her previous life, she even gave birth to 2 sons. At the beginning, she was also quite loved by Chen Zihui. If he hadn't returned to the city and abandoned her, she would definitely be the envy of everyone. When Zhao Mingyuan made a lot of money in the future and she gave birth to a son, she would make these people kneel in front of her and beg her. Himanxiang thought so. But she could ignore these people, but she couldn't ignore her mother-in-law Lu Juhua. She hurriedly put on her clothes and went out, intending to coax her mother-in-law. But as soon as she walked out the door, a broom came down on her face. "Beat you to death, you lazy rascal, who doesn't lay eggs." Himanxiang didn't expect that she would actually hit someone. She turned pale and forgot to dodge for a moment. She didn't scream and dodge until the broom covered with chicken hit her face. Her dodging made Lu Juhua even more angry. Moreover, she was used to farm work and had great strength. The broom was waving in her hand, making a whirring sound. And Himanxiang was also beaten and screamed, "Help! Lu Juhua is going to beat her daughter-in-law to death." Himanxiang dodged in embarrassment and shouted for help. But her image in the team was not good to begin with. In addition, she had not given birth to a child in the 2 years since she married into the Zhao family and was sleeping late. Who would help her? In the end, Zhao Mingyuan came out of the house and stopped the farce. "Mom, why did you hit her?" Zhao Mingyuan helped Himanxiang because he was afraid that she would go out and say something, so he had to coax her now. How would Lu Juhua know what was going on in her son's room? Seeing that he not only did not help her, but also stood on Himanxiang's side, she was immediately furious. "You are still protecting a chicken that can't even lay eggs? Get out of my way. I'm going to beat her to death here today and marry you another one." Hearing this, Himanxiang's face changed, and she opened her mouth to tell the truth that she had not consummated the marriage. But before she opened her mouth, Zhao Mingyuan took the lead. "Mom, if you want to hit me, kill me first." As he said this, he opened his arms to protect Himanxiang. Himanxiang, whose face and body were still dirty, was immediately moved. Looking at the man standing firmly in front of her, she instantly imagined that the man in a suit and tie was domineeringly protecting her behind him. At this moment, Himanxiang's infatuation with him reached its peak. She even subconsciously concealed the fact that they had not slept together yet. Lu Juhua looked at her most beloved son, who was actually bewitched by a like this, and was so angry that her eyes went dark again and again. You rebellious son." Zhao Mingyuan's actions also made the onlookers outside drop their jaws in surprise. Some people said that he was a real man, daring to resist his mother for his wife. But more people thought he was unfilial. It was obviously his wife who had problems, and it was understandable for the mother-in-law to discipline her. Isn't it disobedient and unfilial for him to do this? Zhao Mingyuan couldn't care what other people thought. At this point, he had to do Wang Yongxing's proposal quickly whether he was willing or not. So, as to avoid more trouble. Unlike the chaos of the Zhao family, Ward No. 5 of Wenshi Military Hospital was full of warmth. Qin Hua came over from the guest house early, and when he saw his brother woke up, he was so excited that his voice choked. It's good that he woke up. It's good that he woke up. If he hadn't woken up, Qin Hua would have worried that his mother wouldn't be able to bear the. Lin Wanshu had slept for a night and already felt much more energetic. When Qin Hua hadn't come just now, she had fed Xiao Miao Miao with her back to Qin Yan. Now that Qin Hua is here, she handed the baby to him and went to cook for Qin Yan. When Xiao Miao Miao was at home, she could see Qin Hua every day and didn't resist this uncle. This made Qin Yan, who was lying on the hospital bed, feel very uncomfortable. Looking at the baby who was being held obediently by his eldest brother, he was so envious. Qin Hua also saw it, and he put Xiao Miao Miao on the stool beside his bed to sit. Miao Miao, be good. Sit here for a while. Uncle will get some water for your dad to wash his face. Actually, Lin Wanshu was planning to fetch water for Qin Yan to wash up, but when Qin Hua came, she simply gave the job to him. Although Qin Yan was a little disappointed, at least their relationship is now developing in a good direction. We can't rush things. Qin Hua went to fetch water, and the little guy sat on the bed and looked at Qin Yan curiously. Maybe it was because it looked strange to have a bandage on his head, and the baby's eyes kept wandering around the bandage. After looking at it for a while, suddenly, 2 words popped out of her mouth. It hurts. Pointing at his bandage, she blinked. Qin Yan's heart suddenly softened into water. It doesn't hurt anymore, Miao Miao, don't worry. Although he knew that she might not understand, Qin Yan did not perfunctorily respond, but communicated with her seriously. The little girl tilted her head, as if thinking about what he said. After a moment, she stretched out her 2 little paws and clung to the bed and put her little head in front of him. Qin Yan didn't know what she was going to do and was afraid that she would fall, so he stretched out his hand with difficulty to protect her. But the baby pouted his little mouth and blew at the bandage on his head. Fly, fly. It was still unclear words, but Qin Yan understood it. She was comforting herself. In an instant, the heart of a first-time father was filled with excitement, happiness, and satisfaction. How could there be such a little person in the world? People don't know how to love him. If it were possible to make big moves, Qin Yan really wanted to hold her tightly in his arms. This is his child, a child with her and his blood. Thank you, Miao Miao. Daddy feels much better. He carefully put his hands around her, and seeing that the baby did not resist, Qin Yan slowly placed his hands on her small body. Not until he felt the soft and warm touch did Qin Yan feel a sense of security that his dream had come true. All this was not his fantasy. Perhaps it was the blood relationship between father and daughter. Apart from the initial unfamiliarity, Xiao Miao Miao quickly became familiar with Qin Yan. When Qin Hua came back from fetching water, Xiao Miao Miao had even laid down next to Qin Yan, stretching out her little paws to watch her father count her little fingers. Looking at the warm scene in front of him, Qin Hua felt sad. He had just asked the doctor. Qin Yan's injury was too serious. Even if he recovered, there was an 80% chance that he would have to retire. His brother probably didn't know about this now, otherwise how could he be so calm? Everyone in the Qin family knows how much he loves his job. Apart from getting married, only when it comes to military matters can you see his emotions. What's wrong? Qin Yan had already noticed Qin Hua, and seeing that he had not come in for a long time, he looked up and asked. Qin Hua hurriedly suppressed the discomfort in his heart, forced a smile on his face, and said, "It's okay." As he said that, he brought the water to the bedside, and then carried Xiao Miao Miao to sit on the stool. He didn't say anything, and Qin Yan didn't ask again, but just half closed his eyes, and no one knew what he was thinking. After Qin Hua wiped the places that could be wiped, he took the basin to pour water. After a while, several people in military uniforms walked in. Seeing that Qin Yan was really awake, Shen Shuwen was so excited that his voice changed. "Old Qin, you are finally awake." He and Qin Yan are partners. One is the battalion commander and the other is the instructor. The two have been through life and death for so many years, and it can be said that they are closer than brothers. "I'm fine, I made you worry," Qin Yan said with a smile. So many people came in at once, and they scared Miao Miao, who was playing with jigsaw puzzles in the cabinet on the other side of the bed. Wu Mom hearing the baby's cry, the people in the room realized that there was a little kid. Where did the child come from? Shun Shuwen said in surprise. Ji Qirong on the side was keenly aware that the little face had some of Qin Yan's shadow. But she didn't want to think about the possibility that this was his child. Isn't this the niece of Captain Qin? Didn't they say that his family members are here? Others felt that this was really unreasonable. Who would bring a baby to visit a seriously injured patient? Shun Shuwen had a vague guess in his heart, but he didn't dare to confirm it. After all, they have lived together for so long, and he has never heard that he is a child. Just thinking about this, he saw Qin Yan had reached out and touched the baby's head. Meow meow, don't cry, Dad is here. Looking at his gentle expression and hearing him call Dad, several people's expressions were immediately broken. Old Qin, what did you say? This is your daughter? Although there were already speculations, Shun Shuwen couldn't help being shocked. Battalion Commander, congratulations, your little niece is so handsome. There is no one in the entire 7th Battalion who doesn't know that the battalion commander has a sweetheart. I heard that he is very beautiful, and he successfully married her home 2 years ago. But this sister-in-law may not like the battalion commander because she has never sent a letter to the army. In fact, everyone is not optimistic about their marriage. Now that their children are gone, how can they not be happy for him? Only Ji Qirong. When she heard the words Dad, she almost couldn't keep the smile on her face. Why would he rather marry a country woman than take a look at herself? Ji Qirong couldn't help but look at that beautiful child. There was a flash of disgust. Finally, she was afraid that Qin Yan would notice something strange, so she turned around and went out. Not long after she walked out, Lin Wanshu walked in with a thermos bucket and an aluminum lunchbox. Such a beauty. Several people were stunned on the spot. She had black hair like clouds, picturesque eyebrows, skin as white as mutton fat jade, and a pair of beautiful eyes that looked forward to her. This was Qin Shenghui, Yan's sweetheart. She's so beautiful. The photos didn't capture even 1/3 of her beauty. Lin Wanshu was stunned when he saw the few more soldiers in the room, and then he slapped her openly. Get up and say hello. Are you Ian's comrades? I am his lover Lin Wanshu. I just arrived yesterday. After hearing her words, several people seemed to have woken up from a dream. Hello, brothers and sisters, I am Shun Shuwen, Lao Qin's partner. I have admired you for a long time, and I can see you today. Seeing her generous appearance, Shun Shuwen had a good first impression. Chung Demon and Hong Tao also called her sister-in-law. They were the company commanders of the 3rd Company and the 5th Company respectively. Lin Wanshu nodded at them one by one. Nodding, he said with a grateful face, My Ian is able to come back alive, thanks to you. How cruel it is on the battlefield. Even if she has not experienced it, she can imagine it. And the fact that Qin Yan was able to save a life when he was so seriously injured must be the result of their full rescue. As a wife, and it's right for them to say thank you. My brothers and sisters are hurting us by saying this. Lao Qin is our brother, and it's what we should do to bring him back. Shun Shuwen said with a look of disapproval. Not abandoning or giving up is their principle as Chinese soldiers. Yes, sister-in-law, we are all brothers from birth to death. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu didn't say any more polite words. You are right, we are all brothers. I will not see you outside. When Ian is well, I will cook a meal for everyone if I have a chance. Dayton. The words made a few people feel very excited. They who had some complaints against her at first were only filled with envy at this moment. Qin Yan is really lucky. No wonder he has been thinking about it for so many years. With this appearance, such words and deeds would be enough for them to remember for a lifetime. But Qin Yan, who was envied by everyone, was a little confused at this time, and he didn't know whether it was because of the word lover or because she was the hostess. Her gesture to help him maintain the relationship with his comrades made him feel so warm. How could she be so kind? Old Qin, take good care of your injuries and try to return to the army as soon as possible and bring your younger siblings with you. I'm still waiting to eat the food cooked by my younger siblings. They are also men. How could Shun Shuwen not see the excitement in Qin Yan's eyes? They have been in love with each other for so many years, and they were only married and separated for 2 years. They just met yesterday, and probably didn't even say a few words. If they were still dumbfounded, it seemed too ignorant here. Hong Tao didn't understand why the instructor just said a few words and was about to leave. But before he could ask, Cheng Demon took a step forward. "Batal Commander, take a good rest, brother. We are all looking forward to your early return," Cheng Demon said, and took Hong Tao away. Why did they leave so quickly? After seeing off a few people, Lin Wanshu asked in surprise. "Qin Yan, there are many things in the army," he said concisely, but his eyes couldn't help but follow her figure.
Oh.
Hearing this, Lin Wanshu didn't ask any more questions. Xiao Miao Miao was frightened by the group of strangers just now. Now when she saw her mother coming back, she hugged her thigh and refused to let go. Lin Wanshu didn't know her words shocked the man so much. Seeing Xiao Miao Miao's aggrieved look, she quickly picked her up and comforted her, not caring about anything else. Qin Hua came back at this time, and Qin Yan went to Lin Wanshu said, "You take Miao Miao down for dinner first, as long as there is a big brother here." "Okay. Thank you for your hard work, brother." After saying that, Lin Wanshu carried little Miao Miao and went out. The cafeteria is in the bungalow on the left between the two buildings. After going down to the first floor, little Miao Miao stopped crying and just walked to a stone bench. She refused to leave. Seeing that nothing was wrong, Lin Wanshu put her on the stone bench and sat down. It was already 8 or 9 in the morning, and the sun shone on the ground through the gaps in the leaves. Xiao Miao Miao looked at the shadow on the ground curiously, tilting her head and stretching out her hands from time to time, as if playing some fun game. When Lin Wanshu got interested, he started to show her shadow animals, which was very interesting to Xiao Miao Miao. He was stunned again, and finally, he simply got down from the stone bench, stretched out his 2 little hands, and grabbed the shadow on the ground. His cute little appearance made Lin Wanshu's heart almost melt. I just thought that this little kid couldn't get enough of it. The mother and daughter had been playing for who knows how long. Suddenly, an unfriendly voice sounded next to them. "Are you Lin Wanshu?" Lin Wanshu looked up and saw A in military uniform. "That's me." Standing up, she nodded to her lightly, neither unfamiliar nor warm, only maintaining a superficial politeness. However, after all, she is a person who has experienced strong winds and waves, and even a simple cotton shirt can't hide it. She has an outstanding temperament. This is completely different from the country bumpkin woman Ji Qiurong imagined. With just one look, she felt that she was at a disadvantage, but in the end she was unwilling to gain the upper hand. "You must already know the situation of Commander Qin." "Already?" Ji Qiurong raised her chin slightly and said,
"I know."
Since it was someone who came with bad intentions, Lin Wanshu didn't need to be too polite to her, and responded with just 2 words. "Now that you know it, are you still so calm? I really feel bad for Battalion Commander Qin. He is about to change his career, but as his wife, you are not worried about him at all." At the end of the sentence, Ji Qiurong's voice was full of undisguised anger and accusation. Apart from her appearance, what was it about this woman that made him think about him for so long? She was even so cold-blooded that she didn't care about his future and ideals at all. She is his wife, so she will naturally do her best to take care of him. As for what will happen, I believe the army has its own arrangements. But this comrade, in what capacity are you questioning me now? Lin Wanshu's gaze that seemed to see everything made Ji Qiurong feel as if all her clothes had been stripped off, feeling ashamed and embarrassed. But she still raised her chin slightly, trying to maintain her pride. "Of course it is. As his comrade in arms, if Battalion Commander Qin marries someone other than you, but a capable person, I think that person will definitely be able to find a way to keep him in the army." Hearing this, Lin Wanshu was a little funny. "Is that person referring to you? But I don't think Qin Yan will appreciate your kindness. He is an upright man. Even in other positions, I believe he can also achieve great results." The expression that no matter what Qin Yan did, she was proud of him, directly stung Ji Qiurong's eyes. "You are just making excuses for your incompetence by saying this. Since you can't help him, you should be sensible. Don't drag him down. Oh, if you want to help so much, then go up and tell him, or..." You just said that he didn't accept your favor? Lin Wanshu looked her up and down and said with an expression that was so angry that he wouldn't pay for his life. Sure enough, Ji Qiurong's face turned black. Do and be so proud. Sooner or later, Battalion Commander Qin will know what is best for him. Ji Qiurong gave Lin Wanshu a hard look and left angrily. Lin Wanshu took Xiao Miaomiao to eat in the cafeteria and then returned to the 5th floor. Just after entering the door, she was keenly aware of the atmosphere in the ward.
No.
Looking at Qin Hua's red eyes and Qin Yan's silent look, it was not difficult for Lin Wanshu to guess that the doctor must have been here just now. As soon as Xiao Miaomiao entered the ward, she walked toward Qin Yan with her hand. She was holding a small wildflower high. As she said this, she handed the flower in her hand to Qin Yan. Looking at her innocent and childish face, Qin Yan felt mixed emotions. Stretching out his hand to take the flower from Milkman, he forced a smile on his face and said, "Thank you, Miao Miao. Dad likes it very much." Xiao Miao Miao probably understood. Her eyes were bright, and her little mouth opened into a big smile. Looking at the innocent smile of his little niece, Qin Hua finally couldn't control it, turned his back and wiped his tears. How could this happen? It's not that is there at least a glimmer of hope that he can return to the army again? Now not only is all hope gone, but the right leg condition has also been found to be worsening, and it may not be saved and may need amputation. Brother, go eat first. I'll take care of Qin Yan here. Lin Wanshu was probably the calmest of the 3 people present. How could Qin Hua be in the mood to eat? From the time he heard the doctor's words until now, his head has been buzzing, and the whole person seems to have been drained of energy. He is still so young. What should he do after amputation? He would rather be the one lying in bed now. Brother, take Miao Miao down. I'll talk to Wanshu. Holding the wildflower in his hand, Qin Yan said in a somewhat hollow voice. Hearing this, Qin Hua didn't say anything else. He held back his tears and bent down to pick up little Miao Miao. Miao Miao, be good. Uncle will take you to catch butterflies. Hearing about catching butterflies, little Miao Miao didn't care about her mother anymore. She hugged Qin Hua's neck with her hands and pointed at the door to urge. Butterfly, the 2 of them, one big and one small, went out, leaving a couple who were not familiar with each other in the room. The eyes that used to like chasing her were now half closed. The man who had been in a good mood since waking up seemed to be surrounded by a dark black mass, and the whole person felt indescribably depressed. Lin Wanshu didn't say anything, but slowly walked forward, pulled out a stool, and sat next to him. Hearing the noise, Qin Yan finally raised his eyes. His eyes carefully depicted the face in front of him that he had engraved on the tip of his heart, and Qin Yan's eyes were obscure and difficult to understand. Wanshu, my right leg may have to be amputated, you. After a long time, he spoke with difficulty, but halfway through the words, as if he thought of something unbearable, he paused again. The hands on the bed unconsciously grabbed the sheets, as if restraining something. Lin Wanshu looked at the man's sad and reluctant eyes, and it was not difficult to guess what he was going to say. Sighing, she reached out and held his hand on the bed. Ian, we are husband and wife. You are Miao Miao's father. No matter what problems we encounter, I will face them with you. Even if it really came to the point of amputation, Lin Wanshu would not choose to divorce. As long as it is not a matter of principle, she will give Miao Miao a healthy and complete home no matter what. Moreover, with the spiritual spring water, she believes that there will be no amputation. The reason why she didn't give him the spiritual spring water last night was that she didn't want to take the risk until she had to. But after spending time together last night, she knew that Qin Yan was a responsible and good man and a good father. Because of this, she was willing to help him at the risk of being discovered. Holding the soft little hand in his hand, Qin Yan's heart was like a surging sea, with waves rising and falling. On the one hand, he was deeply moved by her loyalty, and on the other hand, he couldn't bear to drag her down with his disability. She was so beautiful and so good that she would be held in the palm of her hand no matter who she was with. But Qin Yan was really unwilling. The person he had been seeking for so many years was right in front of him, and he was going to become Wanshu, I don't want to be a burden to you. With your words, I have no regrets in my life. In the end, he still couldn't bear to drag her down. Reluctantly retracting his gaze, he forced himself to let go of the soft and boneless little hand. Lin Wanshu, are you serious?
Yeah.
Qin Yan lowered his eyes again, not daring to meet those clear and bright eyes.
Got it.
Lin Wanshu said coldly, and then ignored him. Instead, she took out the small pieces of cloth and needles and thread that she had cut in this life from the backpack she carried with her and started sewing. Before she got married, Lin Wanshu's needlework was well known for being good. Even the stitches of hand-sewn clothes were no worse than those sewn by a sewing machine. Sewing some small toys was no problem at all. Originally, I planned to sew a small doll for Xiao Miao Miao in this life. But because of Qin Yan's matter, it was delayed until now. Lin Wanshu's reaction was something Qin Yan didn't expect. Seeing her sitting quietly by the bed sewing things, he didn't know what he felt in his heart for a moment. The words just now had already cost him half his life, and it was impossible to say them again. In fact, Qin Yan regretted it as soon as he said it. He simply couldn't bear her leaving him for another man. When he thought that man would treat her the same way he did on his wedding night, Qin Yan had the urge to destroy everything. But the love in his heart made him unable to watch her being wronged. Lin Wanshu didn't care about Qin Yan's struggle. She quickly shuttled through the cloth with a needle in her hand. After a while, the puppet was sewn with a circle of thread. Taking out a small bag of scraps from the bag, Lin Wanshu stuffed it into the belly of the sewn puppet. After a while, a bulging, funny, and cute little puppet appeared in her hand. Qin Yan watched her conjure up a small toy like a magic trick, and his heart became more and more unspeakable. In the past, he always watched her from a distance, and the opportunity to get close to her was pitiful. Qin Yan knew that she was gentle, kind, and principled, but he didn't expect her to be so clever. Not only did she cook delicious meals, but she also did such good needlework. The more he understood her, the more sour and unbearable Qin Yan felt. In the end, he didn't dare to look at her anymore, and he closed his eyes and pretended to sleep. Lin Wanshu still ignored him. After Qin Hua came back, she took Xiao Miao Miao and said, "I'll take Miao Miao to the guest house and come back in the afternoon. I'll take you there." Qin Hua was worried about her walking alone outside. "Don't worry, brother. I saw where the guest house was when I came here, and I have the certificate given by Comrade Zeng. It won't be lost." Seeing her insistence, Qin Hua didn't say anything else. In fact, the guest house is just opposite the left door of the hospital, not far away. It's such a short distance, it's broad daylight, and there are patrols outside, so there's really nothing to worry about. From beginning to end, Lin Wanshu didn't say a word to Qin Yan again. After explaining, she took Xiao Miao Miao out of the ward. Behind him, where no one noticed, blood dripped from Qin Yan's palm. The guest house is a 2-story building, and Qin Hua has already opened a separate room for her in advance. After handing the certificate to the comrade on duty in the office for registration, Lin Wanshu led Xiao Miao Miao upstairs. There is a staircase on each side. Her room is 207, so Lin Wanshu will go to the right. The entire guest house was actually quite spacious and bright. The handrails of the stairs were made of cement, with a layer of green paint on top and white lime underneath. The walls were all painted with lime. Go up the stairs and turn right, and the third room is theirs. The conditions of the guest house were not as good as those of later hotels. There was only a 1-meter wide bed, a wash basin stand, a bedside cabinet, and a clothes hanger. Apart from that, there was nothing else. The shower room and toilet were shared. Fortunately, they were divided into men's and women's. On the left was the men's toilet and shower room, and on the right was the women's toilet and shower room. As soon as she entered room 207, Lin Wanshu took out her clothes and toiletries, picked up the bucket she had just bought at the supply and marketing cooperative, and then took Miao Miao to the shower room. After 2 days and 1 night by car, she only wiped her body last night and did not take a shower. Lin Wanshu felt sticky all over and uncomfortable. Because they were taking a bath behind closed doors, Lin Wanshu took out a very light-smelling soap and a children's soap from the space and washed Miao Miao and herself. Lin Wanshu was so dirty that she had to draw water twice to wash herself. Miao Miao didn't give a perfunctory answer, but carefully washed her clean. Although the soap smelled light, it could stimulate one's body fragrance when washed on the body, and the more you smelled it, the more fragrant it became. The soap was originally in the space, and it also came with a formula and materials. Lin Wanshu liked to use this kind of soap in her previous life. After using it, she would make some herself and keep it. The soap that Xiao Miao Miao used to wash was also specially made, and it smelled of a light milky fragrance. After the two took a bath, Lin Wanshu let Miao Miao play by herself, and she rubbed the clothes casually and hung them in a special place for drying clothes. After doing all this, it was already noon. Lin Wanshu had rested well last night and didn't feel tired, so she planned to take Xiao Miao Miao to the department store for a stroll. Miao Miao's hair had grown to her ears, so she used 2 rubber bands to tie it into 2 bunches and then tied a hand-sewn bow on each bunch of hair. The little girl touched her 2 corners and smiled happily. After tying her hair, the mother and daughter locked the door and went out. Miao Miao is only a little over 1 year old. Even if she is not going far away, she is still curious about everything. Holding her mother's hand, she jumped up and down, looking very happy. Lin Wanshu looked down at her from time to time, and her love in her heart was beyond words. But when she thought of what Qin Yan said just now, she was furious again. What do you mean you don't want to be a burden to her? Does he think he is a hero for doing this? Has he ever thought about what Miao Miao should do if he really leaves? Just thinking about it, she suddenly lost her temper again. She is space, spiritual spring water, and medicine, and she can indeed save his legs. But from his point of view, there is only despair waiting for amputation. How can a man of iron say that he doesn't want to be a burden to her? How sad must he be feeling? Thinking about it, Lin Wanshu changed direction again and walked towards the supply and marketing cooperative. She had asked her master in the morning, and sometimes fellow villagers would catch old hens that could no longer lay eggs and sell them at the supply and marketing cooperative. She had just gone to buy a bucket but came up empty-handed, and now she wanted to try her luck again. Xiao Miao Miao didn't know why her mother wanted to change direction, but she followed wherever her mother went, as if she was happy as long as she followed her mother. Whether it was a hospital, a guest house, a department store, or a supply and marketing cooperative, they were actually all on the same street. As soon as she approached the supply and marketing cooperative, she saw the salesperson waving at her from a distance. "Comrade, didn't you want a chicken just now? A fellow villager just caught one and brought it here. See if it's suitable." Hearing this, Lin Wanshu's eyes suddenly lit up, and she picked up Xiao Miao Miao and walked to the counter of the supply and marketing cooperative. The salesperson was also quick and nimble, and directly picked up the hen's 2 feet and lifted it up. Although this hen doesn't lay eggs anymore, it's still quite fat. "I just weighed it, and it's 3.2 gene. Do you want it? If you want it, I'll give it to you for 6 yuan, no ticket required." The old hen was very tender, and the price was not the same as the meat, not to mention that it didn't require a ticket. Although 6 yuan was a bit expensive for others, it was nothing to Lin Wanshu. "Okay, I want it. Please help me tie it up," Lin Wanshu said straightforwardly. The salesperson was very happy to see her so generous. He tied the chicken up in a few seconds and secretly revealed a little news to her that no one else knew. Lin Wanshu was very grateful and took out 3 sesame candies from her bag and handed them to her. The sesame candies were wrapped in oil paper bags. "This is a snack I made myself. Comrade, take it back and let your children at home try it." She didn't expect that she would be given sesame candies just by casually revealing some information. The salesperson's eyes were narrowed with smiles. In the end, he sold the defective cloth he left to Lin Wanshu at the purchase price. Just like that, Lin Wanshu, who originally only bought a chicken, left with a few more pieces of cloth in her hands. Fortunately, the bag she carried was big enough, so she put the neatly folded cloth directly into the bag, and she walked to the hospital with the chicken. Seeing that she bought a chicken so smoothly, the kitchen chef Wang Laishi praised her good luck. "Sometimes I can't come across one for 10 days or half a month. After all, hens are precious things. The eggs they lay can not only nourish the body, but also make money. Most people are not willing to exchange this thing for money easily. If there are really chickens that don't lay eggs, they will grit their teeth and kill them during the New Year and other festivals to nourish the family and rarely sell them. But after all, there are so many people in a city, and there are always some who are really having a hard time, and they will sell whatever they can to make money. There is no way. Life must go on. There is basically no woman in this era who can't kill chickens, and Lin Wanshu is no exception. She killed the chicken and cut it into pieces with her hands and feet, and then she stewed soup in the clay pot in the kitchen. It just so happened that the canteen no longer needed to use the kitchen, so Lin Wanshu was not afraid of delaying others. In addition, she was sweet-talking and had become familiar with everyone in the morning, so they were willing to make it convenient for her. Lin Wanshu didn't plan to add anything else to the chicken soup, so she just cooked a clear soup. But no matter how clear the soup was, it was still chicken soup. The overbearing fragrance wafted from the kitchen, and everyone who smelled it couldn't help but swallow their saliva. After a long time, the chicken soup was finally stewed. Lin Wanshu borrowed a thermos bucket for soup from Wan Laishi and put most of the chicken and soup into the thermos bucket. The remaining amount, which was about 1 piece and a few sips of soup per person, was left for the people in the kitchen. She knew the principle of gratitude and resentment, so she would not give more, nor would she give every time. She didn't leave any food for them in the morning. After covering the lid, Lin Wanshu carried the thermos bucket in one hand and Xiao Miao Miao in the other and returned to the inpatient building again. In the ward, Qin Yan still maintained the posture when Lin Wanshu left, without even moving. But the blood under the palm had already turned brown. Qin Hua was called out by the nurse, and the whole room was silent. Suddenly, a babyish voice came from the corridor.
Baba.
Qin Yan opened his eyes and looked at the door with disbelief. The next second, he saw 2 figures, one big and one small, appear at the door. I made soup for you. You must drink it well later. The woman raised the thermos in her hand with a gentle and tolerant smile on her face. His heart was beating wildly, as if it was going to break down. Qin Yan looked at her, without blinking. It was not until she walked in front of him that he was sure it was true. Okay, he replied, his voice a little hoarse and difficult to distinguish. Lin Wanshu shook the bedside as usual, and then took out a pair of bowls and soup spoons that she had just bought at the supply and marketing cooperative. The bowls and soup spoons had been washed in the kitchen, and she carried them up in a bag. First, she put some chicken in an aluminum lunchbox to let it air dry, and then she used a soup spoon to make a bowl of soup. Knowing that Qin Yan was watching her all the time, Lin Wanshu turned her back to him when she made the soup. After making sure that he wouldn't see it, she dropped a few drops of spiritual spring water into the bowl. I wanted Xiao Miao Miao smelled the fragrance of the chicken soup and was already greedy. Seeing the chicken on the aluminum lunchbox, she reached out to grab it. Don't worry, it's still a little hot. Let it air dry first. But a baby is a baby after all. How could she know what hot means? Seeing that her mother didn't give it to her, she didn't want it either. She stretched out her 2 claws and climbed up the table. Meow Meow, be careful. Qin Yan was afraid that she would fall, so he subconsciously wanted to reach out to help her. But the woman who had already picked up Xiao Miao Miao glared at him. Be quiet and don't move, I'll watch her. Qin Yan. His hand, which was halfway extended, froze on the spot, paused, and really took it back honestly. Lin Wanshu was satisfied. Then, she took the little one's hand and touched the bowl of hot soup. Qin Yan's eyebrows jumped. Although Lin Wanshu moved quickly, Xiao Miao Miao was still slightly scalded. The first time she felt the pain of being scalded, she burst into tears. Lin Wanshu was also distressed, but she still educated her seriously with a stern face. Do you feel the pain? This is hot, you know? Don't touch hot things next time. Although she loves her child, she doesn't want to spoil her and raise her into a fool who knows nothing. Since she can't watch her all the time, she will teach her how to identify what is dangerous. And Lin Wanshu's trick really worked. When she wanted to grab her hand to touch the chicken again and reminded her that it was hot, Xiao Miao Miao really stepped back and refused to touch hot things no matter what. Seeing that her education was in place, Lin Wanshu was satisfied and put the baby on the stool. Wait here obediently. Mom will feed you meat when it cools down. Although Xiao Miao Miao seemed to understand, she knew that the thing was hot because of her instinct to seek benefits and avoid harm. She dared not touch it and could only nod obediently. I didn't expect that she would educate her children in this way. Qin Yan admired her and felt indescribable pride in his heart. She is really excellent. No wonder Miao Miao is so well-behaved and sensible. After Lin Wanshu dealt with the little guy, she brought the soup with spiritual spring water to him. Without saying much, she scooped a spoonful with a spoon and blew it before putting it to his lips. Qin Yan felt that he was not so fragile. It was just a bowl of soup. He could drink it in a few sips. But seeing her feeding him gently and patiently, he shamelessly opened his mouth and drank the soup in the spoon. From the moment she appeared at the door again, Qin Yan knew very well in his heart that he would never be able to let her go in this life. Although he might face amputation, he was not without the ability to support his wife and children. When she left just now, Qin Yan had already thought of countless ways in his mind. As long as she was willing to live with him, he would have a way to make her live better than most people. Thinking of this, the confusion in his heart gradually calmed down. I don't know if it was because she fed him, but Qin Yan felt that the soup was incredibly delicious, as if it was nectar from heaven. As he drank the soup mouthful by mouthful, an indescribable heat spread to his limbs. Qin Yan felt as if he was soaking in a warm hot spring, and even the pain in his body was significantly relieved. But he didn't think much about it, just thinking it was his own psychological effect. After Lin Wanshu fed him a bowl of soup, she picked up a chicken leg to feed Xiao Miao Miao. It was unknown how long this old hen had been raised, and the meat was incredibly tough. She had been cooking for so long, but it was still difficult to pull it. Afraid that Xiao Miao Miao couldn't swallow it, Lin Wanshu tore the meat into thin pieces before feeding her. The little guy who had been looking forward to it for a long time finally ate the meat. Her little mouth was very busy. Lin Wanshu fed the meat into her mouth, and she chewed it twice and swallowed it. Lin Wanshu was not in a hurry. While feeding her, she patiently taught her to chew slowly and bite into pieces before swallowing. Qin Yan didn't say anything, just looked at the mother and daughter quietly. The heat in his body was still undiminished, which surprised him a little, because this heat was really unusual, and wherever he went, his pain was still relieved. This feeling was like his body was being repaired. Qin Yan was a little surprised. But before he could think about it, Qin Hua came back. Doctors and nurses also came in. Family comrades, we are going to do further examinations on Captain Qin to determine the next treatment plan. Lu Guoyang said to Lin Wanshu with a serious face. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu hurriedly hugged Xiao Miao Miao away to make room for them. Then I'll trouble you, doctor. Lin Wanshu didn't say much, but when Qin Yan was carried to the medical care bed, she reached out and pulled his hand. Qin Yan subconsciously shook her hand back, looked at her deeply, and then reluctantly let go. The doctor and nurse quickly pushed the person away, and Qin Hua was worried and followed. Lin Wanshu didn't follow, but continued to feed meat to the hungry cub. What Qin Yan had to do now was an X-ray examination. X-ray examination was discovered in 1895, but the medical conditions in China were backward, and most hospitals did not have such equipment. Wunsher Military Hospital had just transferred one from another place, and it happened to arrive today, so Qin Yan was given a further examination. The examination was quick, and soon Qin Yan was pushed back to ward number 5. However, it would take at least 2 hours to get the results of the film. After returning to the bed, Qin Yan, who was always calm and composed, seemed a little anxious. He glanced at the door of the ward from time to time. Qin Hua was even more exaggerated, waiting outside the examination room for the results. When Qin Yan went for the examination just now, Lin Wanshu had coaxed Xiao Miao Miao to sleep. She got up from the accompanying bed quietly and walked to the stool next to the bed and sat down. Without saying a word, she took his hand directly. Qin Yan's attention instantly turned from the door to the hand holding him. The woman's hand was as white as jade, but there was a thin layer of callus on the palm. That was the roughness of people who worked frequently. Qin Yan thought the callus was very annoying, and such a thing should not appear on her hand. But before he could say anything, he saw Lin Wanshu spread out his hand. The wounds on the palm that were pierced by nails appeared in front of the two of them. Qin Yan. He wanted to withdraw his hand uncomfortably, but the woman didn't let go. Her strength was as light as a feather, but she easily trapped a man with supernatural power. He opened his mouth, wanting to explain something, but heard her curse in a low voice.
Fool.
It was obviously a curse, but there was a touch of intimacy that was not there when they first met. Qin Yan felt his heart melt when he heard it. Lin Wanshu took the iodine that she asked the nurse for and treated the wound on his palm. Qin Yan didn't say a word, but watched her quietly wipe the remaining blood on her hand and then apply disinfectant. After treating one hand, she walked to the other side and picked up the other hand. When he went to check just now, Lin Wanshu had asked the nurse to change the bed sheets and quilt covers. Now he was lying on snow-white and clean sheets. The air was filled with a strong smell of disinfectant, but Qin Yan keenly caught her fragrance. Sensing the man's increasingly scorching gaze, Lin Wanshu paused slightly and then applied disinfectant to his wound as if nothing had happened. The two still didn't speak, but there was an indescribable ambiguity in the whole ward. This strange feeling was something Lin Wanshu had never experienced in her previous life. But she didn't hate it, so she decided to let it go. Time passed little by little, and as several people were looking forward to it, the X-ray film finally came out. "Doctor, how is it?" Qin Hua stepped forward and asked. Lu Guoyang held the X-ray film in his hand. His face was more solemn than ever. "The situation is not optimistic, and the amputation surgery must be performed as soon as possible." Hearing this, Qin Hua staggered, and the whole person was shaky, as if he would fall to the ground in the next second. The sound from the corridor was directly transmitted to the ward. Although he was mentally prepared, Qin Yan's heart sank when he heard the news. After a while, Lu Guoyang and Qin Hua entered the ward one after another. "Captain Qin, your left leg is in a worsening condition and blood supply cannot be restored. If you do not amputate it, it may lead to absorption of necrotic tissue and cause failure," Lu Guoyang said with a heavy face. Qin Hua's eyes were red and his vision was blurred. He did not even dare to look at his brother's expression. The atmosphere in the whole ward was extremely depressing. At this moment, Lin Wanshu's soft but calm voice rang out in the ward. "If his leg injury can be prevented from getting worse, does it mean that amputation is not necessary?" Hearing this, Lu Guoyang thought that she was unwilling to accept that her man was going to have an amputation, so he patiently explained, "In theory, if there is no further deterioration, amputation can be postponed, but if there is no sign of improvement, amputation surgery will still be required in the end. Comrade Lin, we have done all the necessary treatments. We will not use the amputation plan unless it is absolutely necessary." But before he finished speaking, Lin Wanshu dropped a bomb. "I have a way to control his leg injury from getting worse." As soon as the voice fell, several eyes looked at her. "What solution?" Hearing that she had a solution, Qin Hua felt like she had grabbed a life-saving straw and didn't care whether Lin Wanshu knew medicine or not. Lu Guoyang didn't know Lin Wanshu's situation and thought she was also a doctor. When he heard her say that, he hurried to ask. Although Qin Yan was a little surprised, his desire to save his leg still made him hold his breath and stare at her intently. After a pause, Lin Wanshu's clear voice rang out in the room again. "My grandfather is a doctor. During the anti-Japanese war, he treated many wounded on the battlefield. I heard from my mother that she saw with her own eyes that a soldier who was sentenced to amputation saved his leg under his treatment." These words were like a beam of light, breaking through the heavy darkness and shining into the ward full of despair. "Sister-in-law, then you should help him quickly, and you must save Yan's leg." Qin Hua's voice changed with excitement. Although Lu Guoyang was also excited, he was a professional after all. "Comrade Lin, how do you plan to treat his leg?" "As the attending physician, I want to know your plan. Before she left, my mother left me some medical books and notes, as well as my grandfather's prescriptions. According to the records in the notes, I have tried to make medicines myself over the years and have tested them on animals. The effect of removing dead tissue and regenerating new flesh is remarkable. Some of these words were lies, after all. She had just read her grandfather's notes last night. However, the medicine was indeed made by her in her previous life, and she had also done a lot of experiments. Unexpectedly, this prescription was the case recorded in her grandfather's notes. After saying that, Lin Wanshu took off the cover of the luggage bag and exchanged a black cloth bag from the space. There are two kinds of medicines in it, one for external application and the other for internal use. After listening to her, Lu Guoyang understood clearly. It turned out that she was not a professional doctor, and she might not even be a doctor. She was just a descendant of a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. And these medicines were made by her, and they were only tested on animals, and they had not even undergone large-scale clinical trials. Comrade Lin, your approach is too risky. I don't agree. If the treatment time is delayed, the condition will not only worsen, but also may affect life safety. The most important thing is that this drug has not been clinically tested. Even if it is effective, who knows if it will cause serious complications? In the past 7 years, traditional Chinese medicine has been severely suppressed. In addition, Lu Guoyang is a surgeon and naturally has a little prejudice against traditional Chinese medicine. This means that he is destined not to agree with Lin Wanshu using her backward and ignorant methods. But Qin Hua is different. When he was a child, he heard a lot about Tao Qiming from the villagers. He knew that he was a man of real ability. Seeing that Lin Wanshu's method was rejected, he immediately became anxious. As long as there is a slight way, I am willing to try it. If you don't agree, then do you have a way to save my brother's leg? Family members of the patient, please calm down. Treatment is not a joke. We have to conduct various assessments before we can proceed to the next step. Every decision is made with great caution. Amputation is the best solution after our current evaluation. Although he will lose a leg, it can guarantee that Captain Qin's life is not in danger to the greatest extent. On the contrary, if they use drugs of unknown origin, what will happen is beyond their expectations. Knowing that they will definitely not be able to accept the fact of amputation, Lu Guoyang continued to persuade them patiently, in an attempt to make them give up the dangerous idea of self-medication. After hearing his analysis, Qin Hua, who was originally determined to let Lin Wanshu take the medicine, hesitated. If something happens, it will be life-threatening. But giving up means that the leg will be gone soon. Just when he was in a dilemma, Qin Yan's calm and decisive voice rang in the room. I am willing to try the medicine prepared by Wan Wan, and I will bear all the consequences myself. Hearing this, Lu Guoyang could no longer maintain his calmness on his face. Captain Qin, don't be confused. How can treating diseases and dispensing medicine be such a simple thing that can be mastered by reading books for a few years? This is also the reason why he looked down on Chinese medicine. This is simply nonsense. It's a completely makeshift team, not standardized at all. But no matter how he persuaded, Qin Yan remained unmoved. He looked like he completely trusted his wife. Lu Guoyang was angry and anxious, and seeing that Qin Yan was unmoved, he had to turn around and said to Lin Wanshu in a stern voice, Comrade Lin, I hope you can cooperate with my work and don't use medicine indiscriminately, otherwise you will kill your husband. Lin Wanshu still had the black cloth bag in her hand. Hearing this, she looked straight back at his stern gaze. Dr. Lu, it is undeniable that the West has made great progress in the past 200 years. Don't forget that our country has been at the top of the world for the past few thousand years. We have only fallen for a short time now, but can this completely deny our past glory? If Chinese medicine is really as useless as you say, then how have we survived these thousands of years? Lin Wanshu stood straight, and her voice was sonorous and powerful. She was like those figures who were suppressed, slandered, and trampled on, but always unyielding. Lu Guoyang was about to refute, but suddenly, he choked in his throat. In the end, Lu Guoyang agreed to Lin Wanshu's plan. However, for safety reasons, they must monitor her throughout the process when she takes the medicine. Lin Wanshu naturally had no objection to this. In order to let her cook the medicine, Lu Guoyang specially found a remote house for her to avoid being seen by others. You must know that traditional Chinese medicine in this era has been classified as a feudal remnant. Even in the military hospital, they have to guard against those elusive people. There are also some rules for cooking medicine. It is not enough to just throw it in and boil it. Lin Wanshu first put in some of the medicine, and after it was cooked, she picked it up and poured some ground medicine powder into the medicine soup. Smelly Xiao Miao Miao smelled the strong smell of medicine in the air and couldn't help but stretch out her little hands to cover her nose and mouth.
This is medicine.
It smells a bit, but Dad will get better soon after taking it. Lin Wanshu explained to the baby seriously, regardless of whether she understood or not. The little one seemed to understand and opened her round eyes, watching her mother carefully put the medicine into the basket. The basket was borrowed by Lin Wanshu and Wang Laishi. After putting the bowl into the basket, she covered the lid and then led the baby to the inpatient building. In the ward on the 5th floor, the nurse had already untied the bandage on Qin Yan's left leg according to Lin Wanshu's instructions and smeared the entire leg with the powder she gave. When Lin Wanshu came back with Xiao Miao Miao, what she saw was Qin Yan's leg that was painted black. Dad, with Lin Wanshu's constant correction, Xiao Miao Miao now calls Dad very standardly. When Qin Yan saw the mother and daughter, the expression on his face softened unconsciously. Miao Miao, come to Daddy. I don't know if she added any special medicine to the chicken soup, but Qin Yan felt that his injuries were much better than when he woke up. As soon as the baby walked to the bed, he reached out and touched her head. The little girl already knew who her father was, and he didn't rule out his approach. Qin Hua was also in the ward. Seeing Lin Wanshu holding the medicine, he hurriedly reached out to take it. After a while, Lu Guoyang led a few nurses in. This was what they agreed to. The medicine must be used under their monitoring to avoid any unexpected situation and to be able to be rescued immediately. Until now, Lu Guoyang felt that his decision was absurd. Why did he agree to it? For some unknown reason. But since he had agreed, he couldn't go back on his word. He just hoped that her medicine was as reliable as she said. The nurse shook the bed. Lin Wanshu took the medicine out of the basket. Without asking anyone else's hand, she directly fed him the medicine with a spoon. Seeing the black medicine being swallowed by Qin Yan mouthful by mouthful, everyone subconsciously held their breath. Lu Guoyang couldn't help but tense up his muscles all over his body. He looked like he was ready to do it at any time. It looked like a bowl of pills, and it was the most difficult time for Qin Yan to drink a bowl of pills. She also did a lot of tests, but at this moment, she could not help but be nervous. Just staring at a pair of round eyes, curiously looking at the beating line on the screen. Dr. Lu, don't worry. This is a normal reaction. It will be fine in 20 minutes. Lin Wanshu's calm voice sounded, which suppressed Lu Guoyang's urge to induce vomiting in Qin Yan immediately. But his nerves were still very tense. His eyes were fixed on the beating line on the monitor. Captain Qin, how do you feel now? Lu Guoyang asked after carefully observing his face. I feel good. Qin Yan's voice was always very steady, as if the person with the abnormal heart rate was not him. What no one knew was that after drinking the medicine, an indescribable pain had already spread throughout his limbs. The pain was different from the pain of the wound, nor was it like the stomachache from eating something wrong. It was as if a boiling hot current was slowly flowing through his meridians. This feeling was very mysterious, but Qin Yan instinctively felt that if he could get through it, he would have unexpected gains. But the pain was too intense. If it weren't for Qin Yan's amazing willpower, he couldn't help rolling over. But even in such pain, his face remained calm. If it weren't for the heart rate monitor, no one would have noticed anything wrong with him. Lin Wanshu noticed that Qin Yan's head had begun to sweat. This situation seemed different from what was recorded in the book, and her heart skipped a beat. Afraid that she had given the wrong medicine, she used her consciousness to compare it in space. After comparing it 2 or 3 times in a row, she was sure that the medicine she used must be fine. So, what was going on with Qin Yan's current situation? Unable to help it, she leaned close to his ear and whispered, "Are you feeling uncomfortable?" The woman's warm breath wrapped in a faint fragrance blew into his ears, and Qin Yan's heartbeat suddenly skipped a beat uncontrollably. The lines on the ECG monitor fluctuated more and more violently. This almost scared Lu Guoliang to jump up. "What's the matter? Captain Qin, are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere?" Ahem. Cough. "It's okay. My wife just whispered to me." Qin Yan, who usually keeps his emotions to himself, had red ears. Lin Wanshu. Everyone in the ward. They can get a bite of dog food just for monitoring. Who can they complain to? Lin Wanshu didn't expect that just talking to him would have such a big impact on him, and she suddenly had an indescribable subtle feeling in her heart. Even her pink and white ears were slightly flushed. Being interrupted like this, she couldn't get close to his ear to ask again. Lest his heartbeat get out of control again, that would be too embarrassing. But she didn't know how much influence she had on Qin Yan. Even if she didn't speak again, her refreshing body fragrance lingered in Qin Yan's nose. Smelling her fragrance, Qin Yan actually felt that the pain was not so unbearable. The long 20 minutes passed little by little, and everyone in the ward felt like they had spent 20 years. After finally getting through it, they saw that the lines on the screen had returned to their original stability. Such a change finally made everyone feel relieved. "Captain Qin, how do you feel now?" As the attending physician, Lu Guoliang is most concerned about Qin Yan's physical condition. Qin Yan, who finally got over the pain, felt incredibly relaxed at the moment. If he had to describe it in words, he felt as if his run and due meridians were opened. Although it is absurd, this is the fact. Qin Yan couldn't help but be shocked. What on earth did his wife give him to eat? Although his heart was already turbulent, Qin Yan remained expressionless. "I feel a lot more relaxed than before taking the medicine." After the ECG monitoring was completed, Lu Guoliang took the nurse to give Qin Yan a detailed examination. After discovering that the medicine did not have any effect on him, he was completely relieved. "Comrade Lin, the preliminary evaluation of your plan is fine, and you can continue." Since there is hope of saving the leg, Lu Guoliang is naturally happy to see it happen. Although he is a doctor, he is also a soldier. If a war breaks out, some of them will have to go to the front line to treat the wounded. If Lin Wanshu's method is effective, it will be great news for the army. After all, no one wants to have an amputation if they can save the leg. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu's hanging heart was finally put down completely. Because it was her medicine that was used, no one was replaced in the accompanying room that night, so that she could respond to any situation in the first time. Xiao Miao Miao is still young, so naturally she has to follow her. Before going to bed, Lin Wanshu fetched water for herself and Xiao Miao Miao to wash their hands, feet, and face. After washing, she put the baby on the accompanying bed. "You lie here first, Mom will go get some water." Lin Wanshu patted her little ace and said. As soon as the little guy lay down on the accompanying bed, he hugged his little doll and played with it, ignoring his mother. Lin Wanshu smiled helplessly and took the basin to get water. After the water came back, he added some boiling water as usual and then brought it to the bed. After Qin Yan took the medicine given by Lin Wanshu, he felt warm all over. He took a nap in the afternoon and was not sleepy at all. Thinking about the medicine she prescribed for him, he had an indescribable feeling in his heart. He was not stupid, so he naturally knew how powerful this medicine was. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is a miracle drug. The effect of this medicine is really, can ordinary medicinal materials achieve this? Lin Wanshu didn't know what he was thinking. After wringing out the towel, she gently wiped his face and neck. Qin Yan looked at the focused little face in front of him. The woman's skin was as white as jade, and even if she often went to the ground, it was still as smooth as cream. Her eyebrows were as dark as distant mountains, her eyes were as gentle and affectionate as water, and her red lips were delicate and tempting. Such beauty did not seem to be the beauty that should exist in the world. Thinking of the strange medicine again, Qin Yan suddenly felt an indescribable panic. When she pulled her hand, she couldn't help it. As soon as Qin Yan's hand was retracted, she fell into his arms.
Ah!
The sudden accident made Lin Wanshu couldn't help but exclaim, "What are you doing?" Unexpectedly, he would hug her. Lin Wanshu immediately wanted to sit up reflexively for fear that she would press on his wound. But as soon as she moved, she felt that the big hand around her tightened a little. "Don't move." The man's deep voice blew into her ears with a hot airflow. Lin Wanshu suddenly felt as if she had been electrocuted, and her whole body was soft and numb. "What's wrong with you?" The woman's puzzled voice was so delicate and soft that Qin Yan's breath couldn't help but become disordered. "Don't move, let me hug you." Holding the soft little woman in his arms and feeling the warm body temperature, the panic in his heart was slightly relieved. Lin Wanshu didn't understand why he suddenly wanted to hug her, but she was afraid that her struggle would cause his wound to, so she didn't dare to move and could only lean lightly on his chest. "Are you still worried about your leg?" Lin Wanshu couldn't help but guess. How could Qin Yan tell her the strange and absurd thoughts in his heart? Seeing her ask this, he had to respond vaguely. Lin Wanshu didn't doubt him, so she comforted him softly. "Don't worry, my grandfather is a great doctor. With his prescription, your leg will definitely get better." Her voice was gentle but full of power, like a clear spring, slowly flowing into Qin Yan's heart, easily soothing the anxiety in his heart, making people unable to help but indulge in her beauty. But at the same time, Qin Yan's heart suddenly had an unspeakable dissatisfaction. She was obviously already in his arms, but he still felt it was not enough. The man's eyes were burning and scalding, with a heart-trembling aggression. Where had Lin Wanshu experienced such a scene? Suddenly, she felt a little overwhelmed. Biting her lip, she stretched out her hand to support her body, wanting to leave his arms. "Let go first. The nurse will come to check on her later." Although they are husband and wife, after all, the atmosphere in this era is conservative, and hugging like this has a bad influence. Qin Yan looked at her blushing little face, with an infinitely shy look, and suddenly felt a dry mouth. The Adam's apple rolled up and down unconsciously, and his eyes were dark and scary. Seeing that he didn't let go, Lin Wanshu became anxious. "Let go quickly." It was still a crisp voice, but with a little more anger. Qin Yan knew that he was about to annoy the other person, and after a pause, he reluctantly let go of his hand. Finally free, Lin Wanshu sat up quickly. He looked at the door with a guilty look. "No one," Qin Yan said calmly. But in return, the woman rolled her eyes. Lin Wanshu put the towel into the water again, rubbed it, wrung it dry, and handed it to him. "Wipe it yourself." Qin Yan, knowing that he was in the wrong, he didn't say anything. He reached out to take the towel and wiped his own hands. But after a few wipes, his brows frowned. Lin Wanshu thought he was involved in the wound, and her heart tightened immediately. "Is the wound torn?" As she spoke, she wanted to check his wound. "The wound is fine, it just hurts a little, it's no problem," Qin Yan said, and continued to wipe himself. With that fragile look, how could he be the iron-blooded tough guy who could endure severe pain without changing his expression when taking medicine? But Lin Wanshu was caught in the grip, and when she heard him say it hurt, how could she dare to let him do it himself? "Let me do it." As she said that, she reached out and took the towel from his hand. Her soft little hand took his hand again, but Qin Yan didn't dare to move this time, for fear that she would give up again. The woman half drooped her little face and wiped gently and carefully. After wiping her hands, she slowly unbuttoned his clothes. Qin Yan's muscles all over his body tensed up with her movements. The warm towel wiped the places without wounds inch by inch, and Qin Yan's forehead had been wet with sweat at some point. But she seemed not to notice, and the towel went all the way down along her lower abdomen and finally stopped at the waist of his pants. Qin Yan subconsciously held his breath, and his already tense muscles were as hard as steel at this moment. The ward was so quiet that it seemed as if they could hear each other's rapid heartbeats.
"There.
I'll wipe it myself." A moment later, a man's hoarse voice sounded in the ward. As he spoke, Qin Yan reached out to take the towel. But as soon as he raised his hand, he felt his belt being pulled up. "No, lie down and don't move." Qin Yan. Such contact is simply unimaginable for a couple who can be called strangers. Qin Yan did not dare to look at her at all, for fear that the heat in his eyes would scare people. Lin Wanshu also did not dare to look at him, and she didn't even know where to put her eyes. In the quiet ward, the thumping heartbeats of the two were intertwined. An indescribable ambiguity lingered between the two. After Lin Wanshu finally finished wiping, Qin Yan's clothes seemed to be wet with sweat. Lin Wanshu's face was also red as if it was dripping with blood. "I'll go pour some water. You take a look at Miao Miao." Not daring to stay any longer, she hurriedly left a sentence, picked up the wash basin, and walked out. Behind her, the man's scorching gaze seemed to burn her. Lin Wanshu's heart was pounding, and she didn't dare to look back. She left the ward in 2 steps. Xiao Miao Miao didn't know the undercurrent between the two adults. After she got tired of playing with the doll, she threw it away and climbed down the accompanying bed with her little ace sticking out. The accompanying bed was very low, and her feet could easily reach the ground. As soon as she got off the ground, she staggered towards Qin Yan. "Dad, Dad," she shouted in a baby voice with her hands on the edge of the bed. That adorable look melted the heart of Qin Yan, an old father. "What's wrong? Do you want to sleep with Daddy?" Qin Yan stretched out a hand and brought her to the bed easily. The little girl was a smart person and knew who was good to her. She got familiar with Qin Yan after playing with him during the day, so once she got on the bed, she lay down next to him without any hesitation and took up half of his pillow. The two, one big and one small, lay side by side on the bed waiting for Lin Wanshu. But Lin Wanshu didn't know if she was frightened by the scene just now, and she didn't see her come back after waiting for a long time. Xiao Miao Miao was already a little sleepy. She rubbed her eyes with her chubby little hands and began to hum. Mom, when Qin Yan saw her like this, he knew that she must be sleepy and was asking for milk again. "Miao Miao, be good. Mommy will be back soon." While comforting her like this, he had already thought of who to ask to bring him milk powder. The little one probably knew that her mother was not around, so she didn't dare to make a loud noise and just kept humming softly. Qin Yan felt so distressed that in order to coax the baby to sleep, he patted her back gently and told her stories. It was not known whether the baby was too sleepy or the stories of the nanny had some strange magic, but the little Miao Miao, who was still humming, slowly quieted down after hearing her father's stories. When Lin Wanshu came back again, she saw a little ball sleeping next to Qin Yan. "How did you coax her?" "She fell asleep without making a fuss for milk." Forgetting the discomfort just now, Lin Wanshu walked up and asked in surprise. Facing her bright and admiring eyes, the corners of Qin Yan's lips unconsciously curved. "I told her a story and she fell asleep." Lin Wanshu. "I also told her a story, but she refused to go to bed at 11 o'clock. Speaking of the baby who had been making trouble until 11 o'clock in the evening, Lin Wanshu couldn't help gritting her teeth. How could this little rascal be so hypocritical? Listening to her indignant complaint, Qin Yan couldn't help laughing, but he agreed without any principles. Xiao Miao Miao really shouldn't have done that. How could she make trouble so late? "Thank you for your hard work, Wanwan." Listening to his tone as if he was coaxing a child, Lin Wanshu's face became slightly hot. "It's not that bad. I spanked her little ace later." "Well, if she doesn't listen, she should be educated." He still agreed without any bottom line, as if everything she did was right. People of this era basically get married through blind dates, and there is no emotional foundation. Anyway, the purpose is to build a family and reproduce offspring. In the eyes of most men, marrying a wife is to have children, raise children, take care of the elderly, take care of the family, and at the same time, add a labor force to the family to earn work points. But since he woke up, Lin Wanshu found that Qin Yan was very different from the men of this era. He gave all his salary to her and asked her not to do heavy work. He also wanted to wean her because the baby bit her and hurt her. It is difficult for Lin Wanshu not to be moved by this attitude of putting her first in everything. Although she doesn't know whether the future will change, at this moment, in her heart, he is truly transformed from the role of the child's father to her husband. She wants a man to live with. At some point, her eyes had a hint of coquettishness that she herself didn't even know about. She said softly, "When you get better, the responsibility of educating the children will be handed over to you. No man can resist that unconscious, coquettish gesture, not to mention Qin Yan, whose heart and eyes are filled with her. His fingertips curled slightly, barely restraining the urge to rub her in his arms, and after a pause, he spoke. Well, leave it to me when I'm better. The indissoluble tenderness in the man's voice fell into Lin Wanshu's ears, making her heart beat out of control again. Not daring to say anything more, she pretended to be calm, picked up the baby, and put it on the accompanying bed. Rest early. After saying this concealingly, she also lay down next to Xiao Miao Miao. Okay. Qin Yan responded in a low voice, and did not speak again. The ward was quiet again, but in this silence, something seemed to be fermenting. Lying on the accompanying bed, Lin Wanshu's heart could not calm down for a long time. She didn't know how long it took before she fell asleep in a daze. When she opened her eyes again, it was already bright outside. Lin Wanshu hurriedly got up to wash and fetch water for Qin Yan to wash. There was originally a basin in the ward, and the one in Lin Wanshu's hand was the one she brought herself. The one she used to wipe his body yesterday was from the ward, and now she used her own to wash. After she finished washing Qin Yan, Lu Guoyang also led the nurse in. After routine inquiries and checking the wound, he looked a little shocked. This recovery speed is a bit too fast. Is the medicine really so magical? In order to verify the efficacy of the medicine, yesterday Lu Guoyang, who was still against it, could not wait to urge Lin Wanshu to cook the medicine quickly. Fortunately, Lin Wanshu did not let him wait any longer. After handing the baby and Qin Yan to Qin Hua, who had just arrived, she went downstairs with the medicine. She bought a bun in the cafeteria and ate it while cooking the medicine and making some soup. When she brought the medicine to the 5th floor, Lu Guoyang and the nurse in the ward had already changed the medicine for Qin Yan and pushed the heart rate monitor. Qin Yan felt much better today and did not let Lin Wanshu feed him, but picked up the bowl to drink. Under the breathless gaze of everyone, he drank a bowl of medicine. Everyone subconsciously looked at the heart rate monitor, but surprisingly, the amplitude of the lines on the heart rate monitor today was only slightly tighter, not as exaggerated as yesterday. What's going on? Captain Qin, how do you feel? Lu Guoyang couldn't help but ask. At this moment, Qin Yan was also full of surprise. It turned out that the severe pain yesterday did not appear, and there was not even anything abnormal, as if he had just drunk a bowl of ordinary medicine. But his sense of smell is sensitive, and he did not find any difference between today's medicine soup and yesterday's. But his face remained expressionless. I feel good and there's nothing wrong with my body. But his explanation did not dispel Lu Guoyang's doubts. In the end, he could only turn around and ask Lin Wanshu. Even other people found something wrong, and Lin Wanshu was no exception. Not only did the heart rate monitor beat violently yesterday, but Qin Yan also had sweat on his head. It was completely different from the calmness of today. Lin Wanshu thought of the bowl of chicken soup with spiritual spring water. Could it be because of the spiritual spring water? So his reaction yesterday was so strange? There were a lot of twists and turns in her mind, but Lin Wanshu's reaction was as calm as Qin Yan's. Hearing Lu Guoyang's question, she responded without changing her face. Individual drug resistance reactions are different. This is normal. Of course, she couldn't reveal the matter of the space and the spiritual spring, even if that person was Qin Yan. After all, the medicine was not researched by Lu Guoyang, and he had never used it. Although he still had some doubts in his heart, he could only accept Lin Wanshu's statement. Only Qin Yan knew that the comparison between yesterday and today could not be explained by a drug resistance reaction. Thinking of the bowl of chicken soup he drank yesterday, he had a little more doubt in his heart. Does she seem to have a secret? In the next 2 or 3 days, Lin Wanshu did not give Qin Yan spiritual spring water. She only used the 2 external and internal medicines. But even so, Qin Yan's wounds recovered much faster than before the medicine was used. Lu Guoyang was shocked. He didn't expect that one day he would be surpassed by the legendary backward and ignorant medical skills. Although Qin Yan's left leg still has not regained consciousness, the current treatment progress is obviously much better than his plan. If these two patches of medicine can pass clinical trials and used on the front line, it will definitely greatly reduce the casualty rate. Perhaps the efficacy of the medicine is too amazing. Every time Qin Yan uses the medicine, Lu Guoliang not only watches the whole process, but also takes notes. Time flies, and it has been 6 days since Lin Wanshu came to Wen City. The wounds on Qin Yan's body have scabbed and begun to heal, but his left leg is still numb. Lin Wanshu couldn't help but feel a little anxious in her heart. She was obviously operating according to the cases recorded in the space. How could there be no effect? Qin Hua's originally relaxed eyebrows have become knotted again in the past 2 days. Only Xiao Miao Miao still eats and drinks as usual, and sometimes even talks to her father in babbling, and is not affected at all. After drinking the medicine on the 7th day, Qin Yan's legs were still numb. Lin Wanshu finally couldn't sit still, and she decided to give him acupuncture. Lu Guoliang was shocked. Acupuncture is even more mysterious than pulse diagnosis, and Lin Wanshu obviously has no experience in practicing medicine, so he hesitated again. How sure are you? How about I find someone to help you with the injection? Lu Guoliang did not raise any objection this time. He was just afraid that Lin Wanshu would not be able to do the acupuncture well, so he suggested finding someone to help. Lin Wanshu did not have any experience in acupuncture on a real person, but there were various medical models that she had bought in the space. During those years, she studied medicine in it every day, and she didn't know how many times she had practiced acupuncture alone. It can be said that even with her eyes closed, she could not insert the wrong acupuncture points. But she couldn't say this. After all, in the eyes of everyone, she was at most just a little bit of acupuncture. It wouldn't make any difference to find someone to give acupuncture for her. Thinking of this, Lin Wanshu didn't hesitate anymore. But before she nodded in agreement, she heard Qin Yan's objection. No need to find someone to replace, just let Wan do acupuncture for me. Lin Wanshu. No. Does he trust himself so much? Lu Guoliang couldn't understand it either. Wouldn't it be better to find a more professional doctor? I believe in Wan's ability. After spending these few days together, Qin Yan had a good understanding of Lin Wanshu's medical skills. And she didn't seem like a reckless person. Since she could bring up acupuncture, she must have some confidence. Most importantly, he wanted to know what secret she was hiding. The plan was finalized. Lin Wanshu was not a long-winded person. She took out the silver needles she had prepared in advance, disinfected them, and began to give him acupuncture. Although her skills were already very proficient, in order not to be exposed, Lin Wanshu pretended to be a little unfamiliar when she was giving him acupuncture. This scared Lu Guoliang, who was watching the whole process, into a cold sweat. He was afraid that she would insert the wrong needle. Acupuncture points, causing disaster. He didn't understand why he agreed to her absurd proposals again and again, like a possessed person. Qin Hua was also very nervous, and his hands hanging at his sides unconsciously clenched into fists. As the silver needles fell one by one, his heart was beating fast, and in the end, his forehead was even soaked with sweat. Qin Yan was very calm from beginning to end. His eyes were fixed on the woman who was inserting the needle into him a little clumsily. He soon discovered that although her movements seemed unskilled, she was very firm every time she inserted the needle, without a trace of hesitation. Under the gaze of the 3 people, Lin Wanshu inserted the last needle. How is it? Qin Hua asked impatiently. At this moment, he was just like all the anxious family members. Even if it was a glimmer of illusory hope, he would hold on tightly and not let go. Although Lu Guoliang was not a family member, he was no less concerned about Qin Yan's condition than Qin Hua. It was the first time for Lin Wanshu to do acupuncture on a real person. She was not sure about it. At this moment, she looked at Qin Yan nervously. Facing the burning eyes of the 3 people, Qin Yan was silent for a while before saying, I haven't felt anything yet. Then, as if afraid that she would feel burdened, he added, I believe that it will be effective after a few more acupunctures. Lin Wanshu. Okay, she was comforted. In the next 2 or 3 days, in addition to taking medicine and applying external compresses, acupuncture treatment was also added. However, what was disappointing was that Qin Yan's legs were still numb. Although he knew that the treatment would not be effective so quickly, Qin Hua was very anxious. If it weren't for Lin Wanshu's treatment of Qin Yan, he would have wanted to stay in the ward at night. Lin Wanshu was also a little anxious. According to the cases in the book, he should have recovered consciousness long ago.
Why is there no response for a long time?
Because of his leg injury, Lin Wanshu used her consciousness to enter the space every night, constantly reviewing and looking for new treatment plans. Lin Wanshu did not dare to use the spiritual spring water unless it was absolutely necessary. After these days of getting along, she knew how sensitive Qin Yan was. On this day, Qin Hua still came to the ward early. Lin Wanshu handed Xiao Miao to him to look at and took the basket go downstairs to boil the medicine. Walking into the abandoned house, Lin Wanshu took the clay pot and washed it, then put the medicinal materials into the pot. It is not necessary to wash the medicinal materials when boiling Chinese medicine, otherwise it may cause the loss of medicinal ingredients. After putting the medicinal materials in, she took a bowl and filled 2 bowls of water and poured them into the clay pot. There was a coal stove in the room, and there were a lot of honeycomb coals next to the coal stove. Lin Wanshu lit one and put the clay pot on the stove. After about 10 or 20 minutes, a gurgling sound came from the clay pot. A faint smoke also came out from the gap in the lid. The smell of traditional Chinese medicine spread throughout the house. Not long after, the medicine was boiled. Lin Wanshu picked up the rag beside her, and when she was about to pick up the medicine, she heard a bang 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 knock on the door. Then came the ferocious urging voice. "Open the door. Open the door. The people inside. Open the door quickly." Lin Wanshu frowned slightly and immediately realized that someone must have reported her. But she was not afraid and directly put the traditional Chinese medicine and the clay pot into the space. Then she took out another clay pot that had been prepared long ago. The clay pot was cooking bone soup, and she also added a lot of special soup ingredients to the soup. Originally, this pot of bone soup was cooking in the space. As soon as it was taken out, the unique smell quickly covered the smell of traditional Chinese medicine in the room.
Bang, bang, bang.
The violent knocking on the door continued, and the people outside were obviously impatient. "If the people inside don't open the door, we will break in." As he spoke, a louder kicking sound was heard, and the whole room seemed to tremble along with it. Wang Laishi, who was far away, heard the movement, and his face suddenly changed. Without thinking too much, he rushed to the inpatient building. On the 5th floor, Shen Shuwen came to visit Qin Yan again today. Hearing that his good brother might face amputation, this equally strong man's eyes reddened on the spot. "Old Qin, if your leg can't be cured here, we will go to Beijing for treatment. There are many capable people in Beijing, and there must be a way. They are brothers who have been through life and death together." A few days ago, he was still glad that he woke up and was happily waiting for him to recover and return to the team. Unexpectedly, he heard such a bad news. How could he accept this? Qin Yan wanted to comfort him and said that when his leg was not in a desperate situation, there might be a glimmer of hope that it could be recovered. But before he could say anything, the door was pushed open with a bang.
Qin.
"Battalion Commander Qin, it's not good. Comrade Lin is cooking medicine downstairs, and a group of people from the cabinet committee came and were kicking the door to catch her."
What?
Hearing that his wife was going to be arrested by the cabinet committee, Qin Yan suddenly sat up from the hospital bed. Before Shen Shuwen could even react, one of his legs had already stepped on the ground. Lu Guoyang heard the noise and happened to rush over. As soon as he entered the room, he saw Qin Yan actually raised his left foot and got out of bed. "Captain Qin, your leg." Lu Guoyang was so scared that he lost his voice and rushed forward to stop him from getting out of bed. Shen Shuwen, who reacted, also stopped him and said, "Old Qin, don't worry, I'll go down right away. I want to see which rascal is so bold that he dares to attack a military wife." After saying that, he strode out. How could Qin Yan be willing to lie back on the bed? Those people were so reckless. What if they scared Wanwan? Lu Guoyang's whole mind was on his left leg at the moment. His hand touched his leg excitedly, and he asked in a trembling voice, Captain Qin, do you have any feeling in your leg? Hearing this, Qin Yan finally reacted. His left foot, which had just stepped on the ground, was now aching slightly. Lu Guoyang knew it when he saw his expression. Captain Qin, you can't get out of bed. I have to give you a further examination now. Although Qin Yan's legs were conscious, it was still difficult for him to walk normally. He was confused because of his concern just now, but now his reason returned. He said to Lu Guoyang, call the security department to have a look. Remember to call more people. Seeing that he would not get out of the bed after listening to the advice, Lu Guoyang naturally agreed. Okay, wait for me, I'll go call people right away. As he said that, he turned and hurried out to call the nurse to call people. Downstairs, Shen Shuwen, led by Wang Laishi, had arrived at the abandoned house. The wooden door had been kicked in, and the house was in a commotion. Shen Shuwen's eyebrows jumped. Just as he was about to rush forward to protect people, he heard a clang from inside, followed by several tragic cries of pain. Along with the cries of pain, an angry female voice came. What do you want to do? My man was seriously injured in defending his country, so I cooked some soup for him to nourish his body, and you guys want to smash my soup pot? After hearing this, everyone saw the meat and bones scattered on the ground. They were originally aggressive, but their faces turned pale. Which rascal made a random report? At this time, Shen Shuwen had already pushed through the crowd and walked in. When he saw the mess on the ground, his face suddenly turned as black as the bottom of a pot. Who told you to come here to arrest our military wives? If you don't give me an explanation from the military today, you can't even think about leaving this door. Qin Yan is not only a soldier who defends his country, but also has made great contributions. They bully a soldier with military merits like this. Isn't this courting death? The leader's legs were scalded by the boiling soup just now, but he didn't care to cry out in pain. Seeing the soldier with a dark face in front of him, his legs trembled. Misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. We also came here because we received a report that someone was cooking Chinese medicine. Someone must want to frame us. Lin Wanshu sneered. When you were still outside the door just now, I said I was stewing soup, but what did you do? Break the door, smash the pot, and want to arrest me? I don't care whether you misunderstood or something else. I only know that the mental damage and loss you caused to me is a fact. This group of people are crazy, and Lin Wanshu will not try to reason with them. The tricks used to deal with Lu Guoyang are useless on them. But her attitude of getting to the bottom of things almost made several people in the cabinet committee collapse to the ground. Comrade, we are all wrong. Please be magnanimous, and let us go. Yan Jianxi, who was in the lead, knelt down and cried and begged. The others also knelt down one after another. Lin Wanshu quickly avoided them and shouted angrily, What are you doing? It's not enough that you smashed my pot just now, and now you want to frame me, right? Hearing this, the kneeling people immediately stood up again in embarrassment. But they didn't dare to straighten their backs and just half bent over. They kept begging, Comrade, as long as you are willing to show mercy, this broth. Oh no, we will give you all the broth every day. They were usually so majestic and arrested people everywhere, but now they were all covered in dust and looked very humble. Shen Shuwen originally came to support Lin Wanshu, but he never thought that she could handle it so well without him. Moreover, she seemed to have something to say, so he did not speak. Lin Wanshu glanced at the group of people coldly until they were about to cry, and then continued, Of course you have to compensate for the meat. Just wrap it every day. Originally, I planned to investigate this matter to the end, but seeing that you didn't do it on purpose, I can consider not pursuing it, but you have to agree to one condition of mine. Seeing that there was room for a turnaround, the people in the cabinet committee almost cried with joy. Now, let alone asking them to agree to one condition, even if they agreed to 10 conditions, they would be eager to do it for her immediately. Comrade, what is the condition? Just tell us. We promise to go through fire and water without hesitation. Lin Wanshu did not keep people in suspense. My condition is that you must find the person who reported it for me. Lin Wanshu naturally could not let this group of people go so easily, but she had to find the person in the dark first. As for this group of people, the monks can run away, but the temple cannot. Hearing that they only found the person who reported it, several people were completely relieved. Comrade, don't worry. Even if we don't tell you, we will dig 3 feet into the ground to find this person who reported it. Yan Jianxi endured the severe pain in his leg, patted his chest, and grinned and promised. And his words were indeed not a bit false. At this moment, he wanted to peel off the skin of that person. How could he let him go? The others also patted their chests one by one, as if they were afraid that Lin Wanshu would not trust them. Shen Shuwen watched from beginning to end, and soon guessed what Lin Wanshu wanted to do.
For a moment, he was just amazed.
How did Qin Yan find such a treasure? Not to mention that she is beautiful and generous, she is also brave and resourceful, and can easily deal with so many fierce men. No wonder he has been thinking about her for so many years. After Lin Wanshu finished speaking, he knocked on several people in a lukewarm way. Yan Jianxi fell down and was already sweating coldly. Naturally, he nodded and agreed to whatever Shen Shuwen said. How could he dare to do anything? After beating him, Shen Shuwen let the man go. After everyone left, Lin Wanshu hurriedly thanked Shen Shuwen. Coach Shen, I was so grateful for you just now, otherwise I would have suffered a loss. Hearing her thank him again, Shen Shuwen felt helpless, but still made a joke. Sister-in-law, you don't have to be polite to me. If I didn't protect you well, Lao Qin would have skinned me when I go back, not to mention that I didn't help you at all just now. Lin Wanshu knew that being polite would be awkward, so she didn't say anything else. She just felt a little distressed when she saw the meat and bones scattered on the ground. Wang Laishi had already taken a basin and started to pick up the meat. It doesn't matter, pick it up and wash it and you can eat it. In this era, meat was already in short supply. Not to mention falling on the ground. Even if it fell into a mud pit, no one would dislike it. But that pot of soup was wasted. When Wang Laishi thought of the broth, he couldn't help but grit his teeth, thinking that Lin Wanshu had let them go just now, which was too easy for that group of people. Before they finished cleaning up, the security department also came over. Seeing Shen Shuwen, the leading captain Chen Feng quickly saluted him. Coach Shen, we are entrusted by Battalion Commander Qin to come here to protect my sister-in-law. Shen Shuwen looked at the dozen young men holding weapons outside the door and couldn't help but fall into silence. How nervous is Qin Yan about his wife? The corners of his mouth twitched, and he said, I have asked those people to go back. There is nothing to do here. Hearing this, Chen Feng saw that the room was quiet. Except for Wang Laishi in the cafeteria, there was no one else. Chen Feng, didn't you say that the people from the cabinet committee came to cause trouble? They just left like that? Knowing that it was Qin Yan who called them to protect her, Lin Wanshu felt warmed and moved. She hurriedly thanked them. Sister-in-law, you're welcome. If you have any problem, just come to us. Chen Feng straightened his chest and said. They had all heard about Qin Yan's deeds. He annihilated 5 enemies alone, saved a comrade, and successfully prevented the illegal occupation of the monkey. How could they not admire such an outstanding warrior? Hearing that his wife was to be protected, the people in the security department rushed to come over. It was a pity that they could not help. Lin Wanshu was naturally grateful again. The troublemaker was not there, and Chen Feng did not stay for long, and led the team away. After the people in the security department left, Lin Wanshu went to the inpatient building with Shen Shuwen. Since the day Lu Guoyang found the old house to cook medicine for her, Lin Wanshu had been preparing for today. Therefore, from the second time she boiled medicine, she also boiled soup. If she was caught, she would put the medicine away, and no one would know whether she boiled the medicine or the soup first. Now that the soup pot was broken, she didn't have to explain to Qin Yan and the others where the medicine went. The two of them went up to the 5th floor one after the other. As soon as they entered ward number 5, they found that Qin Yan was not there. After asking, they found out that his legs were conscious, and he was being examined. What did you say? Old Qin's legs are conscious? Shen Shuwen suspected that there was something wrong with his ears. He had just heard the news that his brother's legs were going to be amputated, and then he suddenly heard that he was conscious? Yes, Dr. Lu just said that his legs can feel pain now. Qin Hua was overjoyed, and his tightly locked brows relaxed again. After the pain of amputation, he no longer expected his brother to stay in the army, as long as his legs could be saved. After confirming that Qin Yan's legs had regained consciousness, Shin Shuwen was also very excited. As long as the legs are saved, everything will be fine. Lin Wanshu was completely relieved until this moment. Fortunately, his legs have regained consciousness, otherwise she was going to use Lingquan water on him again. After a while, Qin Yan was pushed out. Dad Xiao Miao Miao was sharp-eyed and saw her father at once. She waved her hands happily and shouted. Shin Shuwen was the fastest and rushed up at once. Lao Qin, what happened? But Qin Yan disliked that he blocked his sight. He didn't even have time to reply and couldn't wait to ask his wife first. What happened just now? Are you okay? Shin Shuwen. He saw what it means to value love over friendship. I say, Lao Qin, do you not trust me or your wife? You don't know how powerful your wife is. As soon as I arrived, she made those people obedient. Shin Shuwen originally did ideological work. He was very eloquent and described the situation, just now vividly in a few words. Hearing Shin Shuwen say that even the earthenware pot for cooking soup was broken, Qin Yan's eyes were as cold as ice. Seeing his expression, Shin Shuwen couldn't help but pray for that group of people in his heart. Why did he have to mess with Qin Yan's sweetheart? Who in the army doesn't know that he has ruthless hands? They'd better pray for the best. After confirming that Lin Wanshu was really fine, Qin Yan was relieved and asked again, So someone reported you for cooking Chinese medicine? Lin Wanshu nodded. Well, that's what they said, but what I know how to cook is bone soup. Speaking of the group of people just now, Shin Shuwen felt an indescribable disgust in his heart. If the sky is crazy, it will rain, and if people are crazy, there will be disaster. Just wait. What's wrong with Chinese medicine? If Chinese medicine is really so bad, how can these turtles grow so big? Shin Shuwen is different from Lu Guoliang. He was born in Beijing and has been exposed to many powerful Chinese medicine doctors since he was a child. His ability to rejuvenate has made him, it's amazing. But many of those powerful doctors were sent to the farm in the past few years, and they still don't know whether they are alive or dead. However, there were signs that this evil wind had passed, but recently it seems that it has passed. Becoming crazy. Although the military is not afraid of this group of people, there is no need to confront them head-on. After asking about what happened just now, Qin Yan talked about the condition of his left leg. He is conscious, and now he is waiting for the test report to come out to further judge the recovery situation. Hearing his personal confirmation that the leg had really regained consciousness, several people were immediately overjoyed. Brother and sister, thanks to you, Ian's leg can get better. Qin Hua is still terrified when he thinks of the past days and nights. If he hadn't brought Lin Wanshu here, he didn't dare to think about the consequences. Shin Shuwen had been busy with things in the camp some time ago, and he didn't dare to think about it. He didn't know that Qin Yan's leg was cured by Lin Wanshu. Hearing what Qin Hua said, he just thought it was because of her presence that Qin Yan was in a good mood. I asked him carefully about the status of his other wounds. I don't know how long it took, but Lu Guoliang's slightly changed voice suddenly came from the door. What a miracle. It's simply a medical miracle. Comrade Lin, your medical skills are truly amazing. Not only is Battalion Commander Qin's leg recovering well, but there is an 80% chance that it can be restored to its pre-injury state. Shin Shuwen turned around and saw Lu Guoliang waving the report up and down in his hand. His face was even redder. He was so excited that he completely lost his image. After listening to his words, Shin Shuwen's whole body was about to burst. It took him a long time before he managed to find his voice. Old Qin, does Dr. Lu mean that your leg was cured by your wife? A leg that was declared to be amputated by the hospital was saved by his wife. Qin Yan, who had always been expressionless, had a rare look of pride on his face at this moment. Yes, my wife treated it. Her grandpa is very skilled. She also learned the essence. You can achieve such results by yourself, just by relying on the medical books and notes left by the old man. I can't imagine how much success she will have if she has the opportunity to study in university. After receiving the affirmative answer, Shen Shuwen no longer knew what to do. What kind of expression was he making? After reciting jealousy can make a person completely unrecognizable several times, he finally calmed down the jealousy and hatred in his heart. So, sister, what you just drank was the medicine you prepared yourself. Lin Wanshu nodded. I have been using it for more than 10 days, and Dr. Liu said the recovery effect is good. Knowing that the medicine she prepared for injuries healed faster than the medicine in the hospital, Shen Shuwen's eyes went straight. If this medicine could be used on the front line, wouldn't our soldiers be able to greatly reduce the casualty rate? Although it is just a local friction now, who knows if a war will break out one day. As soldiers, they are naturally not afraid of bloodshed or sacrifice, but if better logistical support can be provided, this will be a great benefit to the soldiers. A great thing. Lu Guoyang nodded. If this medicine can be used, some soldiers will not need to have their limbs amputated. However, this medicine is designated as a confidential prescription passed down from ancestors, and he is not shameless enough to directly ask for it. Shen Shuwen also knows very well what this medicine means to the family of traditional Chinese medicine, but the thought of saving soldiers from seeing the tragedy of amputation, he couldn't help but be shameless. Brother and sister, although this request is a bit presumptuous, I still want to ask, can this prescription be sold to the army? I can apply to my superiors for compensation, and I will definitely not treat you badly. Qin Yan said nothing, with a hint of tangle in his eyes. As a soldier, he certainly hopes that the injured soldiers can use better medicine, but as a husband, he doesn't want to force Lin Wanshu to do something he doesn't like. But after he was confused for a while, he heard Lin Wanshu's clear voice. What did Professor Shen say? Not to mention that I am a military wife, but men are in the military, and may also need to use this medicine. Just as a member of the Republic, it is my honor to be able to solve problems for the country. If the troops need it, I can donate the prescriptions free of charge. Thinking about the war that will break out in a few years, Lin Wanshu hopes that they can have more and better special medicines. What's more, she has space and supplies, and she doesn't lack anything. She will give the medicine as soon as it is given. Luo, everyone in the room was immediately shocked. Lu Guoyang didn't expect that she didn't ask for anything in return, and she didn't resent that the Chinese medicine practitioners she represented had been suppressed and discredited in the past. She just donated the prescription directly, and she felt infinite joy in her heart. Admiration. Shen Shuwen also didn't expect that Lin Wanshu would be so enlightened that she would give such a precious prescription. Although selfless dedication is now a thing, people are naturally selfish after all. If she really didn't want to give it, he couldn't say anything. But not only did he give it, but he also gave it for free. How could he be moved by this spirit? Brother and sister, I am here to say thank you on behalf of all the soldiers. Shen Shuwen said solemnly. Lin Wanshu smiled slightly. Teacher Shen, you don't have to be polite. Just think that I am helping my man. Seeing this, Shen Shuwen didn't say any more polite words, but he was already thinking about how to compensate her. Although she didn't necessarily want it, he couldn't really refuse to give it. After the prescription was settled, Shen Shuwen didn't stay long and left to go back to the army. Qin Hua didn't want Lin Wanshu to cook the medicine, so he insisted on going out. After explaining his condition, Qin Hua went out, leaving only a family of 3 in the ward. Milkman was playing with his little toy, and Qin Yan was still sitting on the bed. Lin Wanshu was afraid that his legs would be tired after sitting for a long time, so he stepped forward to help him lie down, but then he bent down. In seconds, she was pulled into that hot embrace. The hormonal aura of a man surrounded her whole body, and Lin Wanshu's heart couldn't help but beat hard. What's wrong? She didn't dare to say a word, for fear that the nurse passing by outside would hear her, so she asked in a soft voice. But what she received in response was his tighter embrace. The man's arms were like iron arms, and he could make her fall with just a gentle hug. She had no strength to resist, not to mention that he held her so tightly. This absolute power from the male made her blush and her heart beat, and she couldn't even think of pushing him away. Daughter-in-law, thank you. From just now, Qin Yan's whole body seemed to be floating in the clouds, and he could not suppress the rolling agitation in his heart. In the end, it was really impossible to relieve it, and he could only push the woman who had turned his heart upside down tightly. He hugged her tightly. How could there be such a person in this world? Every time he thought he was already happy, the next second, she would unexpectedly let him know that he could be even happier. It was so good that he already had an unreal feeling. Lin Wanshu leaned against the man's solid chest, listening to his incredibly fast heartbeat, and his heart became uncontrollable. Although his face was already extremely hot, she still pretended to be calm and said, "We are husband and wife. We are one and the same. Where is the need to say thank you?" The words husband and wife are one made the man's already warm heart become even hotter. He just wished he could rub the little woman in his arms into his bones. But at this moment, a small paw touched Lin Wanshu. Mom, hearing the voice of the baby, Lin Wanshu froze immediately and pushed Qin Yan reflexively while urging, "Let go, meow meow, come here." Qin Yan, looking at Milkman's big curious eyes, he sighed invisibly, paused, and then reluctantly let go of the person in his arms. He was finally let go open. Lin Wanshu pulled up his hair with a guilty conscience, and then said softly to the little baby, "Meow meow, what's wrong?" The little guy put both hands on her thighs and lifted one little foot up hard, as if he wanted to climb on her. Lin Wanshu saw this and quickly picked her up. Who knew as soon as she picked her up, Milkman reached out and lifted up her clothes. While lifting it, she hummed. Nei, Lin Wanshu was caught off guard, and her clothes were almost pulled up by her, and her face immediately turned red. "Meow Meow is hungry. I'll feed her first." During the day, people came and went in the hospital, and Xinhua could come in at any time. Every time she fed, Lin Wanshu simply hid in the bathroom of the ward. Although many people thought she was too hypocritical, Lin Wanshu was not used to feeding in public. But before she got up, she was pulled by Qin Yan. "Old Shin brought milk powder just now. You feed her milk powder." Hearing that there was milk powder, Lin Wanshu's eyes lit up, and she didn't refuse, and put the little guy on the bed. "Meow meow. Be good. You play with daddy first. Mommy will make you nanny." I don't know if it's because she bullies the weak and fears the strong. The little baby will still make a fuss in front of her mother, but once she is in Qin Yan's arms, she will be much more obedient. Taking this opportunity, Lin Wanshu took out a bag from the bedside cabinet. Opening the bag, there were 2 bags of milk powder and a milk bottle. The milk bottles of that era were made of glass and had a strange shape. The 2 ends were curved like bananas, but the belly was bulging in the middle. The opening was very small, and a pacifier was directly put on it. Lin Wanshu washed the milk bottle and scalded it with boiling water. It happened that she had let the boiled water dry in the morning, so the temperature was just right after adding hot water. After reading the instructions, Lin Wanshu poured 5 flat spoons of milk powder into the bowl and stirred it with a spoon. Xiao Miao Miao didn't know what her mother was doing. When she saw the milk bottle, she thought it was a new toy and wanted to reach out to grab it. Qin Yan was afraid that she would break the milk bottle, so he gently retracted his hand that was holding her belly, and the baby sat back on the bed. Xiao Miao Miao just fell back on the bed and was about to cry loudly when she saw a rattle stretched in front of her. "Look what this is," Qin Yan coaxed while shaking the rattle. It turned out that when Shin Shuwen got him milk powder, he also brought a toy. Where had Xiao Miao Miao seen this thing? Hearing the ding-dong sound, her attention was immediately attracted. The little paws were eager to grab the rattle from her father's hand. Qin Yan coaxed the baby and couldn't help but quietly breathe a sigh of relief. He didn't want to keep her in suspense, so he let her grab the rattle away. The little girl took the rattle, first put it in her mouth and took a bite, and found that it was not delicious, so she took it and shook it in her hand. But she was a baby after all, and she didn't know how to play with the rattle. She shook it several times, but there was no regular ding-dong sound. She tilted her head in confusion, put the rattle in her left hand, and continued to shake it randomly. That cute look made Qin Yan very amused. "Meow meow. Daddy will teach you how to play, okay?" Qin Yan couldn't bear to see his daughter disappointed, so he discussed with her in a low voice. But the little girl mistakenly thought that he was going to take her new toy and hid the rattle behind her back. She looked at Qin Yan with a vigilant face. Qin Yan. Fortunately, at this time, Lin Wanshu also put the prepared milk into the bottle. Meow meow, look, what is this? Lin Wanshu said as she reached out and picked up the little one. She held her horizontally with one hand and fed the pacifier into her mouth with the other. Little Meow Meow didn't know what it was, but she would eat anything she put into her mouth. When she tasted the familiar yet unfamiliar taste, she was stunned at first, and then she started to drink tons. Seeing that she could adapt to the bottle, Lin Wanshu couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. It seems that it's just around the corner to stop breastfeeding. She still has a psychological trauma from being bitten that day. It's really too painful. After the little one finished drinking the milk, Qin Hua also came back with the medicine. Probably because Qin Yan's legs had become conscious, his face no longer had the depression of the past few days, and the whole person became relaxed. There was no need to say words of thanks between brothers. Qin Yan took the medicine, blew it, and drank it. Lin Wanshu had just explained to Qin Hua in detail the method of cooking the medicine. It was not a difficult job, and Qin Hua was worried about his brother's legs, so he was naturally not careless. After drinking the medicine, Lin Wanshu gave Qin Yan acupuncture and changed the medicine. After these days of continuous acupuncture, she had some experience, so Lin Wanshu did not pretend to be unfamiliar. Watching her smooth movements, Qin Yan was amazed at the same time, and at the same time, he had a vague sense of nothingness. It was as if there was an invisible and intangible wall between her and him. Because Qin Yan's legs regained consciousness, the next treatment plan was not changed. I don't know if it was because Lin Wanshu's medicine was too effective, but after another 4 or 5 days, Qin Yan could already be helped out of bed. After Lu Guoyang checked Qin Yan as usual, he couldn't help but admire him. Captain Qin, you have recovered better than I thought. At this rate, you will be able to be discharged from the hospital and go back to recuperate in a week or so. The left leg that was originally thought to have sequelae now seems to have no effect and has recovered rapidly. Whenever Lu Guoyang saw the leg that was almost amputated, he couldn't help but exclaimed a miracle. After a while, Shen Shuwen also came, and his face didn't look very good. Seeing this, Lu Guoyang knew that they had something to say, so he didn't stay. That group of people were all sent to the border. Shen Shuwen took off his hat, with a very aggrieved expression on his face. Because of Qin Yan's injury, he has been very busy during this period. Originally, he thought that the group of people could escape, but the monk could not escape the temple, so he planned to finish the things at hand and then investigate who the person who reported was. Unexpectedly, they were sent to the border a few days ago, and they are probably here now. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu's face was also a little bad. She was still too arrogant, thinking that those people would not dare to fool her. But she didn't expect that the person who reported her was so powerful that he could transfer 7 or 8 people from the cabinet committee directly to the border. This also made her alert. Was that person coming for her? Or Qin Yan? Don't worry, I have a way to check. Qin Yan looked at her face full of self-blame, resisted the urge to rub her head, and comforted her. Yes, sister-in-law, don't think too much about it. It has nothing to do with you. You just came here, who can you offend? If it was just an ordinary person, it meant that he reported it on impulse. But this person can mobilize so many people from the cabinet committee at once, which means that he is not simple. No matter what the situation is, they must find out who is hiding in the dark. Otherwise, leaving such a time bomb, he will not sleep well at night. Lin Wanshu is not a person who likes to get stuck in a rut. This time, just take it as a lesson and pay more attention in the future. Thinking of this, she said to Qin Yan again, "Don't worry. Heal your wounds first. At least that group of people have suffered retribution. It is hard work to reclaim wasteland in the frontier." Shen Shuwen also echoed on the side.
Sister-in-law is right.
Don't rush this matter. It's important to heal your wounds. After saying that, he suddenly thought of something and continued, "By the way, sister-in-law, do you want to join the army? If you want to join the army, let Lao Qin write a report and I will go to the family compound to apply for a house for you." Hearing this, Lin Wanshu subconsciously looked at Qin Yan. But she met the man's somewhat hot eyes. "Wanwan, do you want to join the army?" Qin Yan asked, subconsciously holding his breath. Although she is gentle to him now, the waiting without response for all those years made Qin Yan dare not ask for too much. He was afraid that his greed would break the beauty in front of him. Facing the man's cautious expression, Lin Wanshu's heart softened all of a sudden. Without much hesitation, she nodded. "If you can go with the army, you should file a report. Long-term separation is not a good thing for the growth of children. What's more, there will be a war here in a few years." How can she rest assured about him? Hearing that she agreed to go with the army, Qin Yan's mind was like thousands of fireworks blooming at the same time, and he lost all his calmness. "I will file a report right away." Where has Shen Shuwen ever seen his brother look so worthless? He only hated that he didn't have a camera in his hand. Otherwise, he would definitely take a picture and laugh at him for the rest of his life. But then again, if such a beautiful, gentle, and medical wife wanted to go with the army, he would be so happy. Knowing that Qin Yan would definitely need this, Shen Shuwen prepared a form and a pen for him before he came, and he only had to be responsible for writing. "Don't worry about it after you finish writing. He will take care of the rest. Border guards are hard work, and the army will take more care of them. In addition, Qin Yan has military merits, and maybe he will be approved before he is discharged from the hospital." After Qin Yan finished writing the report, Shen Shuwen left in a hurry again. Qin Yan's injury was no longer serious, so Lin Wanshu simply asked Qin Hua to go back first. Although Qin Hua was still a little worried about his brother, the family was about to rush to harvest, so he had to go back first. Before going back, Lin Wanshu told Qin Yan to take a few dozen yuan for him to take home. "Brother came all the way here to send us here, and he also delayed earning work points. It's not appropriate for him to go back empty-handed." As she spoke, she packed the specialties, defective industrial products, and some daily necessities she had specially purchased from the salesperson of the supply and marketing cooperative into bags. "These things are not worth much, but we don't have food there, so we can take them back for our nephews to try. Although these fabric kettles and the like have some minor flaws, it does not affect their use. They can be used by my parents and my brother and sister-in-law. There are also these daily necessities that my family is short of, so I bought them if I could find them here." Qin Yan is not a very careful person. When he was serving in the army, he only knew to send money home and never thought about buying anything for his family. At this moment, looking at the woman busy preparing for him, his heart seemed to be filled with something. Qin Yan felt that he must have done something great in his previous life. Otherwise, how could he marry her? She is so beautiful and so good, and she deserves all the good things in the world. After she finished packing, Qin Yan couldn't help but hugged her into his arms again. "Thank you, wife." Thousands of words could not express the touch in his heart. In the end, Qin Yan had to clumsily and carefully hug her in his arms, as if he was holding some precious treasure. The man's emotions were too strong. Being held so cherished by him, Lin Wanshu's heart seemed to be melted by his heat. But in the end, she still pushed him with a red face. "Don't be like this. My brother will be back soon, and it will be bad if he sees us." She was clearly pushing someone away, but her voice was so soft that it was unbearable. Qin Yan felt that his wife was becoming more and more attractive. How could she be so seductive? After gritting his teeth, he reluctantly restrained himself and let go of her hand. "I really want to go back home as soon as possible. It's not convenient here at all." "Lin Wanshu." "You rascal." Lin Wanshu lightly hit his chest and spat. Qin Yan laughed dully. "I want to take you back to see what our house is like, wife. What are you thinking about?" Lin Wanshu didn't expect him to tease her like this, and her watery eyes couldn't help but widen. It was as if she met him for the first time. Qin Hua, who was stuffed with dog food as soon as he entered the door. He Manxiang from the Red Star Brigade waited and waited, but before she could share a room with Zhao Mingyuan, she received the news that Qin Hua was back. "What did you say? Qin Yan is fine and will be discharged soon?" she asked in disbelief. The women who were gossiping nearby couldn't help but feel a little strange to see her so excited. But she still said seriously, It's absolutely true. Qinhua just came back and brought a lot of things. I heard that they were all bought by Lin Wanshu. Sun Shifeng's mouth was almost grinning to her ears. Seeing her frowning every day a while ago, everyone in the team guessed that her son might be in bad condition. Who would have thought that he is not only fine now but also said that he has made great contributions? Who knows how far he can go in the future? The women talked about it one by one, but He Manxiang seemed to be struck by lightning. Impossible. How is this possible? How could he be okay? He was obviously dead in his previous life, and so many soldiers came and buried his military uniform personally. How come he is fine in the next life? Is it because of my rebirth? When He Manxiang thought about the fact that he didn't die because I persuaded Lin's father to marry Lin Wanshu to Qin Yan, she almost vomited blood. Why is she, Lin Wanshu, so lucky? Not only is her man not dead, but she will also follow the army in the future? Seeing that her face looked so bad and she was still muttering that it was impossible, the women were speechless. He Manxiang, what's wrong with you? We are all from the same village. Can't you hope for others to be better? That's right, everyone is happy for the Qin family. What do you mean by having a sullen face? Others were seriously injured while defending their country, but she is just hoping for others to die. How can there be such a vicious person in the world? He Manxiang suddenly came to her senses after being bombarded with accusations and curses.
No,
I didn't mean that. In this conservative era, reputation is more important than anything else. If her words were to get out, she would be drowned in spit. Although He Manxiang was extremely resentful at the moment, she still had to explain. But no one believed her weak excuse.
Bah.
I think you are just jealous that Lin Wanshu got married well. Who said it wasn't? Looking at her like that, it must be that Zhao Mingyuan didn't feed her enough at night. Otherwise, how could she not have a baby in 2 years? Although this era is conservative, the curse words are really unpleasant to hear. Especially the women in the team. Each of them is experienced and knows how to poke someone's lungs. Sure enough, when she was poked in the sore spot, He Manxiang's face turned black. Many times, she almost couldn't help but tell the truth. But when she thought of the future wealth, she endured it. Not daring to confront this group of women with explosive fighting power, she ran away in shame.
See, I was right.
Is Zhao Mingyuan really not good enough? These discussions soon reached Zhao Mingyuan's ears. At that time, he and Wang Yongsheng were hiding in a dark cave. Mingyuan, what have you thought about that matter? Wang Yongsheng asked casually while tying his belt with a satisfied look on his face. Zhao Mingyuan's clothes were also messy. Hearing this, his face looked a little bad. What do you mean? I am not enough? You're still thinking about that witch? Seeing him putting on airs, Wang Yongsheng cursed in his heart, but he smiled on the surface.
How could that be?
You know me. I do this for your own good. Haven't you heard how outrageous the rumors in the village are recently? Wang Yongsheng, like Zhao Mingyuan, is a notorious scoundrel in the team, and no woman would look down on them. If he hadn't been lonely for a long time, how could he be seduced by Zhao Mingyuan and do such a thing? Although it is exciting, he still prefers soft women. Don't know what kind of luck Zhao Mingyuan has, a guy who is ridden. Actually, let him marry a wife. Fortunately, his thing is useless. Wang Yongsheng knows that as long as he coaxes him, He Manxiang, that woman, will be his sooner or later. Sure enough, Zhao Mingyuan began to hesitate as soon as he finished speaking. Wang Yongsheng saw this and quickly added fuel to the fire. Besides, with our relationship, the child she is pregnant with is yours, right? You still need a son to support you in your old age, right? After much persuasion, Zhao Mingyuan gritted his teeth and finally gave in. Okay, I'll talk to her when I get back, and you don't say a word then. Seeing that he finally agreed, Wang Yongsheng was delighted and agreed in a hurry. The two of them whispered and calculated again, and then sneaked out of the cave separately. He Manxiang didn't know what Zhao Mingyuan was planning. When she heard that he was finally willing to consummate the marriage with her, she was overjoyed. As soon as it got dark, she took a careful bath amid Lu Jihua's scolding. After returning to the house, she didn't even put on clothes and got into the bed with a red face. At this moment, Her mind was full of the fact that she was about to get pregnant with Xiao Mingyuan's son. In the future, all his money would be hers. The more she thought about it, the more excited she became. She had even forgotten the unbearable rumors in the village. They knew nothing, so they would just wait to envy her in the future. With beautiful fantasies, He Manxiang waited until it was completely dark. It was pitch dark in the room again, and then she heard a creak from the door.
A sound.
Hearing the heavy breath that belonged only to men, He Manxiang's heart couldn't help but jump heavily. She had already tasted the taste of women, and couldn't help but clamp her legs together. But she didn't dare to make any moves, for fear that Zhao Mingyuan would back out again. Unexpectedly, Zhao Mingyuan today was obviously completely different from his usual tepidity. The impatient footsteps were accompanied by increasingly heavy breathing. He Manxiang was already half numb before the man even came up. It turned out that he liked to play this kind of sneaky game. Then she had a direction in the future. After a while, a lean male body also got into the bed. Then, there was a blushing and heart-pounding movement in the quiet house. At the same time, in the woods behind the Zhao family's house, Zhao Mingyuan listened to the increasingly intense movement, his eyes dark, and no one knew what he was thinking. Qin Hua went back to Wunshe Military Hospital, and most of the time there were only a family of 3 left in the ward. Occasionally, a few comrades would come to visit, and Lin Wanshu got to know a lot of people because of this. A week later, the wounds on Qin Yan's head and body were mostly healed. Although his legs recovered slower than other wounds, he could now walk slowly on his own without anyone's support. However, Lu Guoyang was afraid that his left leg would be burdened, so he gave him a crutch. That day, Lu Guoyang examined and evaluated Qin Yan early in the morning. "There is nothing wrong with your body now. You can be discharged directly to recuperate." After each examination, he couldn't help but exclaimed, "This is simply a miracle." The medical skills left by our ancestors are obviously treasures, but unfortunately, they've been destroyed to a great extent over the years. Fortunately, Lin Wanshu was a military wife. No matter how long the cabinet committee's hand was, it could not reach into the army. There is no such thing as Chinese or Western medicine in the army. A good doctor is one who can cure diseases. After checking their bodies, Lu Guoyang issued discharge certificates to them. Lin Wanshu brought breakfast, and the family of 3 finished eating and then packed up. Not long after, Zheng Sanqiang and Shen Shuwen also came. Zheng Sanqiang wanted to carry Qin Yan downstairs, but Qin Yan felt that he could go downstairs on his own and refused to let him carry him. In the end, Zheng Sanqiang helped Qin Yan from the front, and Shen Shuwen followed behind to help carry the luggage. Lin Wanshu walked last with Xiao Miaomiao in his arms. The luggage was put on the military vehicle, and Lin Wanshu and Qin Yan sat in the back row with Xiao Miaomiao. Zheng Sanqiang was still driving, and Shen Shuwen was sitting in the passenger seat. Probably because Qin Yan was recovering well, several people were talking and laughing along the way. Mainly because Shen Shuwen talked too much, making Xiao Miaomiao giggle. There are many mountains in Yun province. Although it is only 70 or 80 kilometers from the hospital to the military garrison, it takes 4 or 5 hours to drive. It's hard for Shen Shuwen to make so many trips to the hospital to see Qin Yan. This friendship can no longer be summed up by the simple word brother. Although the mountainous terrain is difficult to walk on, Lin Wanshu is used to it. After all, their hometown is also full of mountains. Xiao Miaomiao had never been in a car a few times. She was jolted by the bumps. Not only did she not feel uncomfortable, she was also very happy. But while she was excited, Lin Wanshu felt uncomfortable. Every time there was a bump, she was afraid that the little one would be thrown away, so she could only hold the pull ring with one hand and hold her tightly with the other. Seeing that she was being jolted so hard, Qin Yan didn't care what the 2 people in front of him thought. He stretched out his hand and hugged her waist tightly, fixing her to his side so that she would not be thrown up. Zheng Sanqiang was also feeling miserable. He had been driving very carefully, but the road was really difficult. He had to drive while asking about Qin Yan's situation from time to time, for fear of knocking his leg. "It's okay, just drive your car properly." Qin Yan knew his situation well, and he was not the kind of person to show off. The car swayed all the way and finally arrived at Lan County. The entire county is located in a valley and is surrounded by mountains. In the past 2 years, their 7th Battalion was deployed across the city to perform tasks in Pe County. Now the entire battalion has been withdrawn to its original Lan County. Other troops have been stationed in Pe County. Their station in Lan County is near a mountain town about 10 kilometers away from the county seat. The station is also in an open space, but it looks like the open space was created by the troops blasting a low hilltop. After entering the army, turn left, and you will find the family home not far away. After entering the gate of the family courtyard, you can see a 4-story building in the distance, and there are brick houses with yards nearby. When applying for a family room, Shen Shuwen asked Lin Wanshu if he wanted to live in a building or a brick house. Lin Wanshu chose a brick house with a yard without hesitation. For this reason, Shen Shuwen was extremely surprised. It turns out that in this era, there were brick and tile houses or thatched houses everywhere, and buildings were rarely seen. When they heard that they could live in a building, many military wives were very happy. They all rushed to live in the building. They couldn't live in the building anymore, so they reluctantly moved into brick houses. How could Shen Shuwen be surprised when he saw that she took the initiative to choose a brick house instead of a building? After a while, the car stopped in front of a brick house. Although the house is said to have a yard, it is simply surrounded by a low fence, and the structure inside can be seen at a glance. There are 2 tile-roofed houses in the center, a smaller tiled-roofed house on the left, and an even smaller tiled-roofed house in the right corner. With just one glance, Lin Wanshu could roughly judge the structure of the courtyard. The one on the left must be the kitchen, and the one in the right corner is either a toilet, a shower room, or a 2-in-1. Sure enough, after getting off the bus, Shen Shuwen helped carry the luggage and introduced him enthusiastically. "Brother and sister, you are really discerning. The tile-roofed house is nice. The kitchen and toilet are independent. Does this mean that the kitchen and toilet in the building are shared?" Shen Shuwen didn't say anything, so Lin Wanshu could only guess. When Xiao Miaomiao arrived in a new place, she was not afraid of strangers and struggled to get down and walk by herself. Lin Wanshu didn't restrain her and let Milkman run around the yard by himself. She helped Qin Yan go to the room. "I have asked your sister-in-law to clean the furniture. You can move in directly. If there is anything missing, just ask the warehouse." The furniture is all provided by the family home, with the same style and the same furnishings. Even the basin and hot water kettle are all equipped in the same way. It can be said that they can just move in with their bags. "Brother Shen, this is too much trouble for sister-in-law. I can just wipe it myself." The previous name Shen Shuwen felt was too unfamiliar, so he asked her to change it. Lin Wanshu saw that he was older than Qin Yan, so he simply called him Brother Shen. "Hey, what's the deal? We're all a family. Your sister-in-law has been looking forward to your coming here for a long time. It's your first time here, and you're not familiar with it. Your sister-in-law will come over soon. If you don't understand anything, just ask her," Shen Shuwen said enthusiastically, while helping them carry their luggage into the house. Lin Wanshu was naturally grateful for the kindness in his heart. "Okay, then I won't be polite to you anymore. When Ayn feels better, I will cook a meal and invite everyone to sit together so that we can get familiar with each other." "Well, I won't invite you when the time comes. I'll come by myself." After talking and laughing, Shen Shuwen continued to introduce the situation here to her. "The water is brought down from the mountains. You don't have to carry it. Just turn on the faucet and there will be water." Lin Wanshu felt that the conditions here were really good when he heard that there was no need to carry water. At home, whether before or after marriage, carrying water every day is an indispensable task. It took 2 or 3 trips to pick up a full tank. Every time I finished picking up, I was very tired. You have to pick up firewood yourself, but there are woods nearby. You can pick it up casually. Just be careful when you go out. Don't go alone. It's best to go with others." Shen Shuwen explained carefully, and Lin Wanshu agreed. "Listen carefully, and really." After explaining everything clearly, Shen Shuwen led Zheng Sanqiang away. Qin Yan is in the room now, trying to help pack the luggage. There are already a lot of folded clothes on the bed, and little Meow Meow is running around the room. Seeing that he couldn't sit still, Lin Wanshu felt helpless. He walked up quickly and sat him down on the bed. "Don't move. Just sit here, and I'll take care of you." Qin Yan, who originally wanted to help, could only sit on the bed obediently under the glare of his wife, watching her busy. Xiao Meow Meow couldn't rest for a second. When she saw her mother packing things, she climbed onto the bed to help. Lin Wanshu didn't care, stretched out his hand to lift her onto the bed, and continued to do his own business. The layout of the room is very simple, with a 1.5-meter wide wooden frame bed leaning against the wall and a wardrobe on one side of the bed. The wardrobe is also made of solid wood and is divided into 3 compartments. The one on the far right is a long lattice where clothes can be hung. The left side is divided into 2 layers, the upper one is shorter and the lower one is higher. Quilts can be placed on the lower layer, and folded clothes can be placed on the upper layer. The whole cabinet is not that big, but in this day and age, people don't have many clothes, so they just wear the same ones all year round. As the old saying goes, 3 years of new life take 3 years of old life, and another 3 years of mending. If a piece of clothing is worn out and cannot be worn, it is generally unlikely to be eliminated. Even if it really can't be worn, it can still be worn by children if it is modified. There is no way the conditions are like this. The whole country is poor, whose family does not live like this. There were not many clothes, so Lin Wanshu packed them casually and put them in the cabinet. But before she could close the cabinet door, the hem of her clothes was grabbed by Xiao Meow Meow. Mom, hearing Milkman shout, Lin Wanshu closed the cupboard door and turned around. "What's the matter, Meow Meow?" After asking, he saw the little guy holding a photo in front of him as if offering a treasure and shouted excitedly. Mom Qin Yan had sharp eyes and soon discovered what kind of photo is Xiao Meow Meow's hand. In a hurry, he stood up immediately. Wan. Lin Wanshu was startled, and when he was about to walk over, he saw the photo in Xiao Meow Meow's hand out of the corner of his eye. The person in the photo wears 2 pigtails and is sitting under a tree. He doesn't know what he is looking at. His young face is full of confusion. Is this a photo of her? She still keeps that outfit in the Qin family's cabinet. It was exactly what she wore when she graduated from junior high school. But why does she have a photo here? After taking the photo, Lin Wanshu raised his eyes to look at the nervous man beside the bed, paused, and then walked towards him step by step. Ta. The footsteps were neither urgent nor slow, but every step seemed to step on the apex of his heart. Qin Yan's heart was beating wildly, and his mouth was full of bitter taste. What would she think of herself? It was only a few steps away, but Qin Yan felt like a century had passed. He didn't know how long it had been before a soft little hand rested on his shoulder. Qin Yan's heart tightened, not knowing what she was going to do. It wasn't until the little hand on his shoulder pressed gently that he sat down on the bed like a puppet, following her force. "Don't you want to explain?" The woman's soft voice sounded in his ears. In those watery eyes, there was curiosity, exploration, and doubt, but no disgust. When Qin Yan met these eyes, his heart was slightly relaxed, but his palms were already wet with sweat. His Adam's apple rolled up and down unconsciously, and after a pause, he said, "The person in the photo studio took it secretly, and I asked him for it." As for how he asked for it, he didn't say. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu suddenly remembered that day after their junior high school class took graduation photos. She sat alone under the tree and heard the click. It turned out that they were really taking pictures of her, not her illusion. Taking photos was a big deal in that era. Whether it was male or female classmates, they would have already thought about what to wear that day, and even how to comb and tie their hair had been thought about countless times in their hearts. Lin Wanshu was no exception. It was precisely because of this that she would always remember the click sound that was unique to taking photos. The sound was clearly nearby, and there was no one else nearby, but she couldn't find the person who took the photo. At that time, she was still a 16-year-old girl, and she was shy and didn't dare to ask the photographer if he took her photo. Unexpectedly, after many years, this photo would come into her hands in this way. There was no plastic ceiling technology in that era, and this photo was probably because people often took it out to look at it, and the edges had faded a little. Looking at the photo in her hand that seemed to have been rubbed countless times, Lin Wanshu had an indescribable feeling in her heart. After a long while, she looked up again, and her pair of black and white eyes seemed to be able to speak.
Do you
Like me? Although it was a question, she was already 70% sure in her heart. Lin Wanshu was not stupid. A man had been carrying a woman's photo for so many years, and even other people in the army knew who she was. How could this not be love? It was just that this matter was somewhat magical. After all, they were really unfamiliar with each other, and they had not spoken much in the village, most of the time just simply saying hello. How could he like her? Hearing her words, Qin Yan's originally nervous eyes had a hint of surprise. I thought you knew. You just don't like him. Lin Wanshu blinked, a little confused. You didn't say it, how should I know? Qin Yan. The letter he wrote was too subtle. Couldn't she see it? If so, then he now had the urge to beat himself to death. It's my fault. The letter didn't make it clear. He shouldn't have written so obscurely, because he was afraid of scaring her. Lin Wanshu was even more confused. What letter? You wrote me a letter? Seeing her expression, Qin Yan suddenly had a very bad premonition in his heart. Haven't you received the letter I wrote to you? I wrote you more than a dozen letters before we got married. He wanted to ask her several times why she didn't reply to him. But this idea was completely dispelled when he heard her tell her sisters that her ideal partner was a gentle gay man. It turned out that she didn't reply to him just because she didn't like him. Qin Yan also advised himself to let it go, but he couldn't do it at all. The more he forced himself, the more that little face appeared in his mind. Later, he couldn't bear it anymore, so he sent her a few more letters. But it was still a stone sinking into the sea. And now her reaction is telling him that she may not have received the letter he wrote at all? Sure enough, just thinking about this, he heard the woman's shocked voice. I haven't received your letter. Hearing her personally confirm that she really didn't receive his letter, Qin Yan was stunned on the spot. So it's not that she didn't want to respond to him, but she didn't know that she liked her from beginning to end? Qin Yan thought he had been in love for many years, but after being hit by the truth of the facts, he didn't know how to react, and his mind was buzzing. Seeing him like this, somehow, Lin Wanshu suddenly remembered the encounters she had in the team. His home and hers were at the head and the end of the village respectively, but she could always run into him near her home. This was not the point. The point was that there was a dead end in front of her house. So what she thought was a passing by was actually an encounter carefully created by the man, just to say hello to her. The more she thought about it, the more shocked she was, and at the same time, an unspeakable sadness rose in her heart. Whether in the previous life or this life, Lin Wanshu didn't know about the letter, nor did she know that there was a man in this world who had always liked her silently. Even until he died in the previous life, she didn't find out. Thinking of this, Lin Wanshu suddenly felt extremely heartbroken. I'm sorry. He died quietly like this, and she didn't know anything. I'm sorry. I really didn't know you wrote me a letter. Thinking of the box brought back by his comrade in the previous life, Lin Wanshu couldn't control her tears anymore. Qin Yan didn't expect her to cry, and was immediately frightened. He hugged her into his arms and coaxed her in a panic. It's okay, Wan, it's okay. Don't cry. While holding her, he patted her back and coaxed her. But Lin Wanshu, who was coaxed by him so gently, cried even more sadly. He didn't know what happened in his previous life. They should have been together, but in the end they were just two unfamiliar strangers until they died. How regretful was he when he left. From the time they met until now, Qin Yan had never seen her cry, let alone cry so sadly. For a moment, he felt so distressed that he didn't know what to do. Be good, my wife. Don't cry. It's not your fault. Thinking that someone was playing tricks behind his back and almost made him miss the person in his arms, Qin Yan's eyes flashed with a dark light. The two of them cried and coaxed each other, and they didn't know how long it took before Lin Wanshu finally stopped crying. And she also realized that at this time, she was carried to the bed by him, and the man held her tightly in his arms with both hands. That look was just like coaxing a child. The man's low and magnetic coaxing was still ringing in her ears. When she raised her eyes, she saw his well-defined jawline. He was so tough and resolute, but he was doing things that were completely inconsistent with his appearance. Lin Wanshu never thought that it could be like this between husband and wife. In other words, she never thought that this seemingly cold and hard man would one day hold her in his arms and pamper her gently. And he has silently liked her for so long. When she thought of this, Lin Wanshu's heart softened, and her whole body unconsciously followed the man's strength and softly pressed against him. How could Qin Yan not feel the woman's wholehearted dependence? In an instant, she felt that her bones were about to be crisp, so how could she care about the letter? Lin Wanshu looked slender, but in fact, she had a small frame. She was soft when she was hugged, and now she softened her body. How could the man bear it? At some point, the gentle coaxing changed. The hot breath, as the man's lips fell on the hair beside her ear. Lin Wanshu couldn't help but curl up her toes. But the remaining rationality in her mind told her that she couldn't go on like this. The baby was still in the room.
Don't. Meow Meow is.
When his lips were about to fall, Lin Wanshu stretched out her hand to block it. The hot kiss fell on her palm, and a tingling electric current spread throughout her body. Lin Wanshu couldn't help but tremble slightly. Qin Yan, who almost kissed the red lips, was also pulled back to reality. Seeing the little Meow Meow who had already crawled into the cabinet and was rummaging through the boxes, Qin Yan couldn't help but twitch his forehead. Meow Meow is big. When my legs are healed, I will clean up the room next door and let her sleep there. Lin Wanshu. Listen, is this human language? Unable to help, she stretched out her hand and pinched his waist. She's not even 1.5 years old. He was clearly pinching someone, but the force was as if he was acting coquettishly. Not only did it not hurt, it was almost fatal. Qin Yan couldn't help but wonder if the girl he married was a witch. After pinching someone, Lin Wanshu did not stay in bed for long, but wrung out a towel to apply to her eyes. It would be bad if someone came and saw her red eyes and misunderstood. After applying the eye mask, her emotions calmed down. The couple started to talk about the letter again. Qin Yan only then realized that the letters he had sent to Lin Wanshu in the past 2 years had also been taken away, leaving only the money. No wonder she didn't know that the money was sent to her. After checking, the scope of suspects was narrowed down. However, he didn't want to alert the enemy, because it might involve people in the army. Evidence must be collected before it can be done in one fell swoop. I will find out about this matter. You wait for it. Qin Yan rubbed her little head and didn't intend to let her worry about it. For his undisguised doting, Lin Wanshu went from being embarrassed at the beginning to gradually sinking into his tenderness. Especially when she thought that he had liked her for so many years and they had missed each other regretfully in their previous life. She didn't want to be hypocritical anymore, but just wanted to manage this relationship well. Well, I don't need to worry about it. Don't worry about it either. Let's take it slowly. After pulling his hand, Lin Wanshu continued to pack her luggage. Xiao Meow Meow had just turned the things in the cabinet all over the floor. Lin Wanshu criticized her a few words before taking the little guy to put the things back into the cabinet. You should put things back to their original places after taking them out, right? It's so messy to throw them on the floor. What if you accidentally trip over them? Although the little guy didn't understand what his mother said, he probably knew that he had made trouble, so he helped to pack up his things obediently. Fortunately, they didn't have much stuff, and after a while, the house became clean and tidy again. After Lin Wanshu finished packing her luggage, she prepared to cook and boil medicine. Just now in Lan County, Zheng Sanqiang stopped the car specially for her to buy things. Lin Wanshu not only bought daily necessities, but also bought rice, flour, grain, and oil. But it was late, so she didn't buy meat and she didn't even have meat bones. Fortunately, there were eggs, so she bought a basket directly. Lin Wanshu planned to make a simple egg noodle dish, and then ask other military wives how they got the vegetables. The kitchen was spacious. There was an octagonal table as soon as she entered the door, with a bench on each side. In the corner was a wooden cupboard that was 1 person tall, but it was empty. Fortunately, Shin Shuwen had already told her about the situation. Lin Wanshu not only bought bowls and chopsticks in the county town, but also bought a pot. In the other corner of the kitchen was a dark stove, and next to the stove was a large vat that was already filled with water. Shen Shuwen had just said that the water here was newly connected and could be used directly. Next to the stove was a pile of firewood, with 2 large bundles of firewood in the pile. Needless to say, these must have been made by Shen Shuwen and his wife. Before they even met, Lin Wanshu was full of affection for the enthusiastic sister-in-law. She decided to make another egg cake and take it to thank her later. Lin Wanshu took the pot to the water vat to wash it. There was a new loofah hanging on the stove, and Lin Wanshu took it down and used it to wash the pot. There was a circle of bricks around the water tank and the place connected to the stove, so there was no need to worry about the water flowing out. The water scoop was also uniformly matched, but there was a corner that was burnt. Fortunately, it did not affect the use, so she used it first. Lin Wanshu scooped a scoop of water and just poured it into the pot. She heard someone calling outside. "Qin Yans, are you in there?" "Hey, I'm here." Lin Wanshu responded and hurried out of the kitchen. As soon as she went out, she saw a young female comrade holding a bunch of green vegetables in her hand, walking towards her with a smile. "I'm from Shen Shuwen's family. My name is Ji Hualan. I just heard him say that you are back, so I came to see you. It turns out to be sister-in-law. I was just thinking about visiting you later, but I didn't expect you to come. Come in and sit down." Lin Wanshu hurriedly invited people in. "Hey, let's not be so polite to each other, sister-in-law. You call me Hualan and I'll call you Wanshu from now on, okay?" The 2 men have a good relationship, so Ji Hualan naturally hopes to get along well with Lin Wanshu. Lin Wanshu also has this idea, so she follows her words and calls her Hualan. "Hey, it sounds much more comfortable this way. These are the vegetables I grew myself. I thought you just came here and you were short of things, so I brought you a bunch. How can I be embarrassed? You've helped me so much. What's there to be embarrassed about? It's just a matter of convenience, just take it, we still have a long way to go in the future." After hearing her say this, Lin Wanshu didn't refuse anymore. "Then I won't be polite to you. If you are polite to me, I will be angry with you." The 2 talked as they walked in. "By the way, how is your husband?" Although Shen Shuwen had already told her the general situation, since she had come to the door, how could she not greet him? "It's fine now. The doctor said that he will be able to walk normally in 10 days. It is said that it takes 100 days to heal a broken bone, but it is not known whether the medicine she prescribed is too effective or Qin Yan's physique is too strong. These days, his recovery speed is much faster than before. This is why he decided to return to the army instead of his hometown." "That's great. You don't know that when your man was just hospitalized, my old Shen suffered from insomnia every day. Sometimes I woke up in the middle of the night and saw him smoking." Ji Hualan felt distressed to see him like this. Originally, everyone thought that Qin Yan would probably not wake up, and even if he woke up, he might become disabled. Unexpectedly, he not only woke up, but also returned to the army. His recovery is a great thing for the 7th Battalion, and Ji Hualan is naturally happy from the bottom of her heart. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu's heart was also warm. "Thanks to you, otherwise I dare not think about what he would have done." He didn't make it in the last life, and Lin Wanshu couldn't help but feel scared every time he thought of it. It's also because of his strong ability. If it were someone else in that situation, he might have died on the spot. But he wiped out 5 enemies by himself and rescued Su Minghui. Such extreme operations are no longer something that ordinary people can do. Now he not only woke up, but also had no sequelae. It goes without saying that he will definitely have a bright future. Lin Wanshu invited her into the kitchen and quickly moved a bench for her to sit down. But Ji Hualan was not someone who could sit idle, so how could she sit down?
"Don't worry about me.
I just came to take a look. I have to go back to cook later." It was already noon, and the 2 kids at home were crying for food. Seeing this, Lin Wanshu didn't force it anymore. "I was also preparing to make lunch. I didn't expect you to bring me some vegetables. I deserve a treat." While putting the vegetables into the basket, she smiled at her. That porcelain white little face was originally beautiful, and this smile almost dazzled Ji Hualan's eyes. TSK, what's wrong with your face? No wonder my husband Shen said that your man calls your name in his dreams." Ji Hualan's words made Lin Wanshu blush. Hualan, stop teasing me. What's going on?
Hey,
Don't disbelieve it. Everyone in the camp knows it. Otherwise, with his taciturn personality, how could he let so many people know that he likes a girl? Lin Wanshu was afraid that she would get more and more outrageous, so she quickly changed the subject. Hualan, you just said that you grew these vegetables yourself? I just got here, and I don't understand, can I grow these vegetables too? Seeing that she was shy, Ji Hualan stopped teasing her and said seriously, I came here to tell you about this. Our family compound has allocated some land to each household. There are 2 acres of fields for growing rice and a few acres of land for growing vegetables. It's not urgent since you just got here. I'll take you to have a look tomorrow. In theory, the army will try its best to arrange a job for the wives of soldiers who accompany the army. However, the country's industry is too backward now, and jobs are extremely scarce. Their 7th Battalion can only arrange a few jobs in a year. Don't the remaining family members have to be arranged with something to do? Moreover, the conditions in this era were difficult. Even soldiers needed to farm to be self-sufficient, not to mention the wives of soldiers who had no jobs. That's great. I'll go find you tomorrow. Lin Wanshu was more than happy to have someone take her to familiarize herself with the environment. After the 2 of them talked and laughed for a while, Ji Hualan lowered her voice and introduced the situation here to her. It turned out that the family compound was actually a small society. Although they were all wives of soldiers, they were also divided into different factions. Those from the city looked down on those from the countryside, and those from the countryside also thought that the wives of soldiers from the city were too delicate. On weekdays, the 2 gangs kept to themselves and only pretended to be friendly in front of men. Ji Hualan was one of the few people who could get along with both sides. But you don't have to worry. The army emphasizes strength. If you can get along, get along. If you can't get along, don't force it. If someone really makes trouble, you don't have to swallow your anger. People are bullies and fear the strong, and it's the same here. Lin Wanshu knew that she was reminding herself, and she was very grateful. When Ji Hualan said goodbye, she took out a bag of peanut candy from an oil paper bag under the cover of the cupboard and stuffed it into her. I just came here and didn't prepare anything. This is the peanut candy I brought from my hometown. It's fragrant and crispy. You can take it back for your nephews. Although peanut candy is not expensive, it is a rare snack in this era of material scarcity, and children like it very much. No, I just came to give you some vegetables. How can it be worth you giving me so much candy? Ji Hualan refused to accept it and pushed it back to her. It's not a valuable thing. If you don't accept it, how can I bother you next time? Lin Wanshu glanced at her and stuffed the candy again. After a lot of pushing and shoving, Ji Hualan finally accepted the peanut candy. Then I won't be polite with you. I'll call you tomorrow morning to save you a trip. Her house is not far from here, with 3 houses in between. When she was leaving, she pointed to her door. Okay, I remember. If you have any questions, I'll come find you. The 2 hit it off right away and were already very familiar with each other when they left. Just after sending Ji Hualan out of the house, Lin Wanshu was about to go back when she saw someone walking out of the yard next door. She was wearing a light blue dress, and her long hair was tied into a high ponytail. She looked sweet and fashionable. Hey, are you the new one? The woman squinted and looked her up and down. Lin Wanshu. Is this person you Fong Fong, the wife of the deputy head of the regiment that Ji Hualan mentioned just now? Who are you calling? The smile on Lin Wanshu's face had cooled down, and she looked back at her indifferently. Of course I'm calling you. Is there anyone else here? Yu Fong Fong rolled her eyes. Even a country girl like me knows that people you don't know should be addressed as comrades. You look so well dressed, and you don't seem uneducated. How come you didn't learn what politeness is when you were in school? After all, Lin Wanshu was the actual controller of the group in her previous life. How could she reach that position without some strength? At this moment, she just put away the smile on her face, but there was an indescribable pressure. These words made Yu Fong Fong blush directly. But she was obviously spoiled. When she realized that she was actually scared by a country woman, her face suddenly turned black.
You
You dare to say that I am uneducated? Do you know that I am the only one with a college degree in the family compound? Lin Wanshu looked her up and down with some suspicion, paused, and then said, You have a college education? Yu Fangfang had already raised her head and chest, waiting for this countrywoman to feel ashamed, but she never thought that she would react like this. You don't believe it? She asked, a little annoyed. It's not that I don't believe you, it's just that you look. Lin Wanshu looked like she didn't look like a cultured person at all. In the past, when she revealed her identity as a college student, she received looks of admiration and envy. How could Yu Fangfang have ever been doubted like this? She immediately felt insulted. Wait, I'll go get my college diploma and show it to you. She was determined to blind her dog eyes later. Lin Wanshu. Why is this a bit strange? But how could she ask her to go back and get her diploma? Before Fangfang turned around, Lin Wanshu said, You don't need a diploma. Since you are a college student, you must know more than me. How about this? Why don't I give you some questions to test you? If you can answer all of them, I will believe you. If this was said by an ordinary person, he would definitely be angry. But Yu Fangfang was obviously not an ordinary person. When she heard that Lin Wanshu was going to test her, she not only did not object, but also said angrily, Let's test. If I answer all the questions, you have to apologize to me. Lin Wanshu didn't expect that she would be so easily fooled. For a moment, she didn't have the heart to bully her. Okay, if you answer all the questions, I will apologize to you. After that, Lin Wanshu began to ask questions. Which one hurts more if you hit your head with a watermelon or a winter melon of the same size? Yu Fangfang. What kind of a weird question is this? Even a child can answer it, right? Yu Fangfang suspected that there might be fraud, but then she thought that she must be uneducated and couldn't ask any profound questions, so she asked such a shallow question. Based on the density of winter melon is higher than that of watermelon, so it must be more painful to hit your head with a winter melon. Yu Fangfang said confidently. Although she was recommended to go to college, she at least went to high school, which was much better than those who went to college before graduating from elementary school. But just as she finished her confident answer, she saw Lin Wanshu shaking her head.
Wrong.
My head hurts. Hearing this unexpected but reasonable answer, Yu Fangfang was stunned for a moment. Then her nose twisted, and she glared at Lin Wanshu. You're kidding me. Lin Wanshu pursed her lips slightly and barely managed to hold back her laughter. After a pause, she continued, The previous question was just to let you exercise your brain. Now I'm going to ask the real question. Okay, if you dare to play tricks on me again, don't blame me for being rude. Yu Fangfang crossed her arms over her chest, looking like she was already very angry and she'd better not mess with her. There was a bear that fell into a 10-meter pit and took 1 second. What color is this bear? After hearing this question, Yu Fangfang's first reaction was that she was playing tricks on her again. What do you mean? Do you think I'll be fooled by you again? A bear falling into a pit. What does it have to do with its color? So you can't answer it? Lin Wanshu asked with a raised eyebrow. Then tell me, what color is this bear? If you can't tell, don't blame her for biting her to death. Seeing that she was about to get angry again, Lin Wanshu found it very funny and didn't keep her in suspense. She announced the answer. It's white.
Why?
Yu Fangfang blurted out. She felt that she was just fooling around. How could she conclude that this bear was white? The gravity acceleration of a bear falling is 9.8 meters per second. Only the North and South poles on the Earth have a gravity acceleration close to 10 meters per second. If you have studied geography, you will know that there are no bears in Antarctica, so this is a polar bear. Unexpectedly, there was really an answer. Yu Fangfang's face suddenly turned red.
This
doesn't count. The questions you ask are too tricky. Seeing that she was not convinced, Lin Wanshu was not in a hurry and asked some physics, chemistry, and geography knowledge involved in life. After this test, Yu Fangfang's head, which was originally held high, had drooped down without knowing when. At this moment, she was doubting her life.
You
really only have a junior high school education? Why do you know so much? Lin Wanshu. I am smart and studious. I usually borrow some books to read and learn. It is true that she learned by herself, but she also spent a lot of time, and it is not that she learned by just reading casually. But Yu Fangfang didn't know that. After hearing her say that, she thought she was a genius. You are too amazing, right? She can learn so much by self-study. If she can study in high school and university seriously, what will happen? Lin Wanshu. It seems that she is not completely as arrogant and difficult to get along with as Ji Hualan said, but like a spoiled child. It's just average, she said, pretending to be calm. In Yu Fangfang's eyes, she felt that she was a master who acted low-key. Okay, since you have some ability, I allow you to come to my house to play, she said with a condescending look. Lin Wanshu. Thank you for the invitation, but I may not have much time, so I won't go to your house. After saying this with a smile, Lin Wanshu turned around and went back to the kitchen. She still had to cook. Yu Fangfang looked at her leaving back and couldn't help but widen her eyes. She just left like that? Doesn't she want to come in and visit her yard? There are so many flowers planted in her yard. Doesn't she see it? Yu Fangfang, who is used to being flattered, is in a bad mood. Why does she ignore her? Is it because she is smarter than herself? Finally, after glaring at the kitchen next door, Yu Fangfang turned back to her room angrily. But just as she entered, a slender figure in military uniform appeared outside the fence. As soon as Yu Fangfang entered the house, she poured herself a cup of tea and drank it up. Just after finishing one cup and preparing to pour another cup, she heard a voice with disgust. Yu Fangfang, do you think you are a cow chewing a peony? How can you drink tea like this? Hearing this, Yu Fangfang was a little speechless. She rolled her eyes and said, I'm at home. I can drink whatever I want. What does it have to do with you? Ji Qiurong choked, and then there was a hint of helplessness on her face. I'm doing this for your own good. I'm afraid you'll embarrass your grandfather outside. Hearing this, Yu Fangfang couldn't help but sneer. Who is your grandfather? Ji Qiurong, do you have to be so thick-skinned? You were just brought here by your mother. Your last name is Ji, not Yu. Yu Fangfang was used to being straightforward. As long as she was unhappy, her father would not show any mercy to her, not to mention that she was just a stepsister. Ji Qiurong, who was squeezed by the barrage, almost couldn't maintain her expression. But when she thought of the purpose of her coming here today, she endured it again. With a gentle smile on her face, she asked casually, I heard that the battalion commander of the 7th Battalion went back to the family compound today. When Yu Fangfang saw her like this, she felt that she had bad intentions. Don't think that you don't know that she, Ji Qiurong, is just like her mother, with a lot of bad intentions. Why do you care so much about other people's family affairs? Rolling her eyes again, Yu Fangfang said in a somewhat indifferent manner. Ji Qiurong looked at her, who was always so high and mighty, and felt indescribable disgust in her heart. But in order to come to the family compound frequently in the future, she endured it. Isn't this just to show my concern? After all, we have been to the front line together, and we are comrades in arms after all. Hearing her hypocritical words, Yu Fangfang wanted to laugh. Ji Qiurong, do you think I am stupid? She was concerned about her comrades in arms, but why didn't she greet Su Minghui? Su Minghui is still in the hospital. It's not that she thinks she is stupid, but most people think that Yu Fangfang is not smart. It's just that due to her status, no one dared to say it to her face. Lowering her eyes to cover up the contempt in her eyes, Ji Qiurong said a little hurt, Fangfang, why do you think so? In my heart, you are like my own sister, and I promised Uncle Yu that I would take good care of you. You should save this to coax my old man. I don't buy your tricks. Yu Fangfang waved her hand impatiently. If you're all right, leave now. I hate the noise and can't stand the buzzing of flies in my ears. The disdain almost made Ji Qiurong so angry that she was smoking. What was she so proud of? Wasn't it just that she was born into a good family and caught the eye of Mr. Yu? If she was also the biological granddaughter of the Yu family, what would Yu Fangfang have to do with her? The more Ji Qiurong thought about it, the angrier she became, and her face was almost twisted. Seeing that she had failed again, Yu Fangfang was overjoyed. She picked up the teapot again, poured herself a cup of tea, and drank it comfortably. It was so cool. It was a pity that the neighbor next door didn't get to drink her tea, otherwise she would definitely be envious. But when she thought about how she had just ignored her invitation and left like that, Yu Fangfang suddenly felt that the tea was not so fragrant. Ji Qiurong was left aside like this, looking at Yu Fangfang, who didn't even look at her. Her face turned black and red, red and black, changing back and forth. If you are not free today, I will come to see you in 2 days, Ji Qiurong said with a forced smile. Anyway, the man has moved into the family compound. She has been waiting for so many years. What's the point of waiting for 1 or 2 days? Yu Fangfang couldn't wait for her to leave. Without even raising her head, she waved her hand again, as if to shoo away a fly. Go away, go away. I will not be free in 2 days. Don't come. Those words were asking for a beating. Ji Qiurong was afraid that if she stayed any longer, she would beat her up. Breathing in and out, forcing herself to calm down, she put on that gentle smile again. Fangfang, don't joke. I promised Uncle Yu to take care of you, and I will definitely do it. After saying that, she turned around and left gracefully. Yu Fangfang. Shen Jin. After the inexplicable person left, Yu Fangfang felt that the air became fresher. But why didn't Feng Yandong come back? She was almost starving to death. Rubbing her stomach, Yu Fangfang felt a little depressed. She can't cook and has never cooked a meal. Either Feng Yandong calls back or she eats at work with the baby. But today she is on leave, so she can only wait for Feng Yandong to bring food. But after waiting for a long time, the meal hasn't arrived yet, but she smells a delicious smell coming from the yard next door. Yu Fangfang sniffed hard and felt even hungrier. Who is the wicked one? The food smells so good? Is he deliberately trying to make her hungry to death? Mom, I'm so hungry. Suddenly, a little kid in a military uniform and a crew cut walked in from outside. Seeing that he was covered in mud, Yu Fangfang couldn't help but twitching her forehead. Feng Jianxi, are you itching for trouble? Yu Fangfang slammed the table and yelled at him. At the next door, Lin Wanshu was steaming egg cakes at the moment. Xiao Miao Miao smelled the smell and staggered in. Seeing that she wanted to climb onto the stove, Lin Wanshu reminded her, Miao Miao, be careful of the heat. The little girl had suffered before, and when she heard that it was hot, she immediately took a step back. But her eyes were staring at the stove. Squeak after her saliva. The little girl pointed at the smoking pot lid and said, Be good and wait a moment, the egg cake will be ready soon. Lin Wanshu rubbed her head and comforted her. But the little girl was so greedy that she was not so easy to be comforted.
Squeak.
The little head shook off her mother's hand, and she reiterated her request again. Seeing that she couldn't be coaxed, Lin Wanshu was about to get her some delicious food to get rid of it, and then she saw a little head wearing a military cap sticking out of the door. Whose child is this? Lin Wanshu was a little surprised, but before he could ask, he saw the little girl running in. Pretty sister. Hearing the voice, Xiao Miao Miao turned her head and saw a fellow who was not much taller than her running towards her. Perhaps there was an inexplicable attraction between the two babies. The two stood face to face, and Xiao Miao Miao instantly forgot about eating egg cake. Blinking her watery eyes, she tilted her head, as if thinking about something. After a moment, she shouted vaguely, Pot pot little friend, where are you from? Lin Wanshu hurriedly greeted the little guest who came to the house. But as soon as she finished speaking, she saw a familiar water blue figure also appeared at the door. The four eyes met, and Yu Fangfang grinned at her. You didn't have time to play with me, so I came by myself. Lin Wanshu. Her silence was deafening. Lin Wanshu didn't expect Yu Fangfang to come to her so soon. This was really a bit unexpected, so she couldn't react at all. Yu Fangfang walked in without waiting for her to say hello and raised the bag in her hand towards her. I know that you have to bring gifts when you visit someone. This is the candy I give you. Don't say I'm rude. Lin Wanshu looked at the bag she was carrying, and the corners of her mouth twitched. Such a big bag, full of candies? It must weigh 2 or 3 pounds. Unable to help it, she asked helplessly, Is this how you always give gifts? Seeing that her expression was wrong, Yu Fangfang froze at first, and then stuffed the bag in her carelessly, and said angrily, "You don't like it? I've already given you my favorite thing. Don't be ungrateful." Feng Yandong usually didn't let her eat too much. If it weren't for her ability, she wouldn't have given this. "It hurts so much." Lin Wanshu. "This is too expensive. I can't accept it. Milk candy is expensive to begin with, and you need a ticket. Ordinary people are basically reluctant to buy this. Giving away a handful of this kind of candy is enough to make people happy. Giving away 2 or 3 pounds at a time, isn't that a big deal?" Yu Fangfang waved her hand impatiently.
Just take it if I give it to you.
"Why are you talking so much?" As she spoke, she walked curiously towards the stove that was emitting white smoke. "What are you cooking? It smells so good that it has even drifted into my house." Lin Wanshu knew that this girl couldn't be treated with common sense, so she simply put the candy on the table and brought it back to her later. "I'm making egg cakes, and they will be steamed in 5 minutes." After saying that, she casually asked, "Have you eaten yet?" "Have you eaten yet" is a unique Chinese greeting similar to hello and good morning. But as soon as she asked this, she heard Yu Fangfang say bluntly, "Not yet, I'm starving." As she spoke, she rubbed her belly. Feng Jianxi, who was standing by, didn't bother to talk to his pretty sister. When he heard Lin Wanshu steaming egg cakes, he came over eagerly. The mother and son's stomachs growled at the same time. Lin Wanshu. Guests are welcome, and Lin Wanshu's impression of Fangfang was not that bad, so she asked the mother and son to sit down. "Wait here for a moment, the egg cake will be ready soon." As she said that, she took out a small bowl of peanut candy and a plate of mung bean cakes from the cupboard. "I made this peanut candy myself, you can try it. And the mung bean cakes, I just bought them in the county." It's not that Lin Wanshu doesn't have other things to entertain the guests. It's just that she just came to the family compound, and it's impossible for her to take out so many things casually. Otherwise, even if others don't think too much, Qin Yan will find it strange. Yu Fangfang didn't know what politeness meant, not to mention that she was starving now, so she didn't care about anything and picked up a piece of peanut and put it in her mouth to bite. After a bite, it was crispy and crunchy. After chewing it carefully, the unique taste of peanuts mixed with an unknown fragrance spread in the mouth, and Yu Fangfang's eyes suddenly lit up amazingly.
"Well,
"What the Hades, it's too delicious," she said vaguely while chewing peanuts in her mouth. Feng Jianxi was also very hungry. He picked up the things on the table and gobbled them up and didn't bother to talk at all. Seeing that the mother and son looked like they hadn't eaten for 800 years, Lin Wanshu was silent again. After a pause, she said, "If you like it, I'll bring you some back later." Upon hearing this, Yu Fangfang's eyes lit up even brighter. "You said it. You can't lie to me." An expression that said if she dared to lie to him, she would not be friends with her. Lin Wanshu. Somehow, I had the illusion that I was touched by taffy. Xiao Miao Miao was probably used to Feng Jianxi's wolfing down of food. Not only did she not find it strange, she also stretched out her little paw, grabbed a piece of mung bean cake, and handed it to him. Squeak Feng Jianxi was immediately moved. Reaching out to take the mung bean cake, he patted his chest with a moved look on his face. "Thank you, sister. I will protect you in the future. With me around, no one dares to bully you." The child was only 4 or 5 years old, but she spoke very maturely. Xiao Miao Miao didn't know what protection was, but she could feel the kindness of others. Her eyes were curved with a smile, so cute that Yu Fangfang's heart was almost melted. Looking at her own dark-skinned son, and then at the other person's fair and tender daughter, she suddenly felt that the peanut candy in her mouth was not fragrant anymore. "Wanwan, how did you give birth to such a beautiful daughter? Teach me some experience." Next time she wants to give birth to such a beautiful daughter and dress her in the same sari as herself. Yu Fangfang felt so happy when she thought of that scene. Lin Wanshu didn't know how to react to her familiar address. Who would have thought that this guy was so arrogant just now? But she didn't say anything. After all, they are all from the same family compound, and it is better to get along than to be enemies. It's not difficult. Eat more tomatoes and fruits when you are pregnant, and the baby will have better skin when it is born. As for how much better it will be, it all depends on genes. Yu Fongfong didn't understand any of this, so after hearing her say this, she wrote it down carefully. I'll ask the director for some land later to grow tomatoes, and I'll eat a few when I'm free. Unlike most other military wives, Yu Fongfong has never worked in the fields. Now, in order to give birth to a fair and tender daughter in the future, she has even begun to consider growing vegetables. Lin Wanshu didn't care about her. She calculated the time and found that the egg cake had been steamed. As soon as the pot was opened, the rich fragrance instantly filled the whole kitchen. When Yu Fongfong smelled the smell, she didn't care about eating peanut candy anymore and ran to the stove. When she saw the yellow egg cake in the pot clearly, she couldn't help swallowing hard.
Wow.
It smells so good. Wawan, did you really make this yourself? Woo woo woo. It looks so delicious. The two little ones also gathered around. Feng Jianxu was tall and could see the tempting pastry without standing on tiptoe. But Xiao Miao was not even as tall as the stove. Seeing that she couldn't see anything, she became anxious. Her mouth drooped, and she was about to cry. Don't cry, sister, I'll hug you. Feng Jianxu is worthy of being a little man. He said he would take care of his sister, and he really did. Noticing that she couldn't see, he hurried to comfort her. While speaking, little Jianxu stretched out two hands that were not much bigger than his sister's, hugged her belly from behind, and lifted her up with force. Xiao Miao finally saw the egg cake in the pot, and her little face lit up. Monster Lin Wanshu looked at the three pairs of eyes like searchlights, feeling both amused and helpless. It will be ready soon. You go wait at the table. As she said that, she found 2 pieces of clean cloth, placed them on the edge of the basin, and picked up the egg cake and the basin. When they heard that there would be food soon, the 1 big and 2 small ones rushed back to the table like the wind. Seeing that Xiao Miao couldn't climb up the stool, Yu Fongfong finally acted a little like an adult, picked her up and put her on the stool to sit. As for her son, who was trying hard to climb up the stool, she seemed to have not seen it. Feng Jianxu was probably used to his mother's unreliability and didn't count on her at all. After a while, he also climbed up the bench and sat down. Then Lin Wanshu also brought the egg cake to the table. The 1 big and 2 small ones screamed again, and their saliva was about to fall to the ground. Lin Wanshu didn't let them wait any longer and took out the tableware and set it. But before she could cut the egg cake, 2 more people appeared at the door. One was about 20 years old with a big belly, and the other had short hair and was about 40 or 50 years old.
Oh.
It seems we came at the wrong time, the older aunt said a little embarrassedly, but her eyes were fixed on the egg cake on the table. Anyone who could appear here must be a soldier's family member. Lin Wanshu quickly put down the knife and went forward to greet people enthusiastically. What are you talking about, Aunt? I'm so happy that you can come to see me. Come in and sit down. I just made egg cake. You can come and taste it. Egg cake, just by hearing the name, you know that it is a rare thing. The young female comrade was obviously shy and refused to go into the house. No, you guys eat it. My husband said that Captain Sheen was discharged from the hospital and asked me and my mother-in-law to come and see him. Huang Fengming's face was full of embarrassment, holding a handful of beans in her hand. But her words attracted Hu Indi's disgusted glare.
He.
How can I be so embarrassed? But I have lived to this age, and I have never tasted what egg cake tastes like. While saying this, Hu Indi grabbed Huang Fengming's arm, not caring at all that she was still pregnant, and dragged her into the kitchen. Lin Wanshu saw this and almost couldn't help frowning. Fearing that she would pull the woman down, she hurried forward to support the pregnant woman's other arm. Only then did she realize that the pregnant woman's arm was so thin that only a little pitiful flesh was left covering the bones. Looking at Huang Fengming being dragged away, Yu Fongfong couldn't help rolling her eyes. She moved her lips and wanted to say something, but when she thought that this was Lin Wanshu's home and that she had just moved in, she endured it. Lin Wanshu helped the pregnant woman sit on a stool, then called the aunt and said, "Aunt, please sit anywhere. I'll go get 2 pairs of chopsticks." said a polite word as usual, but sat down on the main seat without any hesitation. But as soon as she sat down, she was met with Yu Fangfang's somewhat contemptuous gaze. Hu Yingdi was stunned, as she didn't expect her to be here too. Then he smiled ingratiatingly again. Deputy Captain's wife, you are here too? Although everyone dislikes Yu Fangfang and thinks she is too arrogant. But Hu Yingdi doesn't think so. His grandfather is the head of Beijing City, so what's wrong with being a little arrogant? However, Yu Fangfang obviously didn't want to pay attention to her. She made a bland sound from her nose and said nothing more. Huang Fengying felt more and more uncomfortable. When Lin Wanshu came back, she handed over the crooked beans in her hand and said in a whisper, These are beans I grew myself. I was afraid that you didn't have any vegetables when you first arrived, so I brought some over. Lin Wanshu saw that she looked embarrassed and was obviously aware that her beans were not good enough to present. Combined with the Annie next to him who seemed honest but had shrewdness and calculation in her eyes, it was not difficult to guess whose idea it was to grow these beans. Although she was reluctant to accept it, seeing that she looked like she was about to cry, Lin Wanshu still reached out and took it. Sister-in-law is thoughtful. Nodding, she took the beans and put them in the basket. Her attitude was neither as enthusiastic as before nor cold. Without further delay, she picked up the knife and started cutting the egg cake. Egg cake is actually not that big, about 9 inches in size, but it is not thin, about 10 centimeters. She first cut 3 pieces and set aside 2 to give to Ji Hualan and 1 to Qin Yan. Cut the remaining into 6 equal pieces and place 1 piece in each bowl. I just made it casually. Aunts and sisters-in-law, please try it. Don't be restrained. Lin Wanshu greeted the few people. Huang Fengying looked at the fragrant egg cake in the bowl with her eyes wide open, and she couldn't help but drool. She couldn't remember how long it had been since she had eaten eggs, not to mention that the egg cake smelled of milk. Without even tasting it, she could imagine how delicious it was. But even though she was extremely greedy, Huang Fengying didn't dare to move. She did not forget what her mother-in-law told her when she came. On the other side, the little babies couldn't wait any longer. Little Meow Meow didn't even stretch out her hands. She opened her mouth and started biting the egg cake. But before she could bite it, a hand next to her quickly blocked her little mouth. It's hot. Wait a minute before eating. Lin Wanshu stopped him with some helplessness and amusement. After waiting for a long time, Xiao Meow Meow was about to eat the egg cake, but her mother stopped her. How could she be willing to do that? With her eyebrows furrowed and eyes glaring, she said in a rather fierce tone, Yes. When Yu Fangfang saw it, her heart immediately melted. Okay, our Meow Meow wants to eat. Can Annie it for you? The gentle voice frightened Feng Jianxi so much that he leaned back and almost fell off the stool. Barely holding onto the table, he looked at his mother in shock. It be that he was switched? Xiao Meow Meow didn't care about all that. When she heard that her aunt was going to her, she quickly pushed the bowl over. After receiving the baby's request for help, Yu Fangfang no longer cared about eating the egg cake. She picked up the bowl and started blowing it patiently for her. Hu Yingdi felt very uncomfortable when she saw Yu Fangfang, who had just ignored her, was actually so nice to a little girl. A little girl need to eat so many egg cakes? What a waste. She didn't say this out loud, but she couldn't hide the disgust in her eyes. Lin Wanshu happened to be standing behind her and did not notice her gaze. But Xiao Meow Meow sensed Hu Yingdi's ill intentions, and she leaned towards Yu Fangfang with some fear. Yu Fangfang thought she had finally won the baby's favor and was immediately filled with joy. Come, little darling, eat some egg cake. As she spoke, she put a small piece of cooled egg cake into her mouth. The little baby ate the delicious egg cake and forgot about the strange old lady opposite him. After eating a small piece with satisfaction, she pointed at the remaining egg cake. Yes, Yu Fangfang had no resistance to her at all. As soon as the baby finished speaking, she picked up another piece. Huang Fengying looked at the pampered Xiao Meow Meow opposite her, her eyes full of bitterness. They are both daughters, so why is my own daughter the one who is looked down upon? She couldn't figure it out. Lin Wanshu was a little surprised to see that she didn't move her chopsticks. Sister-in-law, why don't you eat it? I just put eggs, milk, flour, and sugar into this egg cake. I didn't add anything else. It's okay for pregnant women to eat it. Every time Lin Wanshu mentioned an ingredient, Huang Fengying couldn't help swallowing. But at the same time, my heart was becoming increasingly bitter. These are things she wouldn't even dare to think about on a normal day. She obviously gave birth to a daughter, so why can she take so many things and waste them? However, he had to look at Hu Indi's face even when eating sweet potato porridge for fear that he would beat and scold her if he put a few extra grains of rice. Forcefully forcing a smile, she shook her head. You guys eat it, I don't like it. Having said that, she looked away, not daring to look at the fragrant egg cake again, for fear that her ridiculous excuse would be exposed in front of others. Seeing that she couldn't persuade him, Lin Wanshu didn't say anything else. Picked up his egg cake and started eating. Although she didn't put anything in her egg cake, the eggs she put in were replaced from the space, so they not only had no fishy smell, but also had a rich fragrance. She originally intended to do this to thank Ji Hualan. Who would have thought that there would be so many uninvited guests? Seeing them all eating with such relish, Huang Fengying's mouth was watering. Why didn't she stop trying to persuade herself? Maybe if she persuades her mother-in-law a little more, she will agree? This moment, Huang Fengying couldn't help but feel a bit of resentment in her heart. I don't know if it's because they both had daughters but different fates, or because I couldn't eat egg cakes and could only watch them eat them. The hands under the table stirred again, and finally, as if she could no longer bear it, she raised her hand and reached for the egg cake. Just a little bit, she only needs to eat a little bit. But before he touched the egg cake, he felt a sharp pain in his arm. Hiss! Unable to hold back, Huang Fengying cried out in pain. When the others heard the noise, they all looked towards her curiously. Huang Fengying's eyes felt sore, and she felt extremely embarrassed. What's going on? Lin Wanshu frowned and looked at Hu Indi coldly. I know, pretty auntie, it was Grandma who pinched Annie Huang. I saw it. Feng Jianxi raised his hand and spoke loudly. How could Hu Indi have thought that her little trick would be exposed in public? For a moment, she felt extremely embarrassed. Forcing a smile on her face, she said awkwardly, She is in poor health and easily gets a stomachache. I am afraid that she will not know the seriousness of the matter and hurt the little grandson in her belly. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu was still fine, but Yu Fengfeng was not happy. Since you think this egg cake will upset your stomach, then don't eat it. It happens that my little Meow Meow hasn't eaten enough. As she said, she reached out and took the bowl in front of Huang Fengying away. Hu Indi never thought that she would actually eat things, and was immediately dumbfounded. Coming back to her senses, she said anxiously, If she can't eat it, I can take it back for my son to eat. How can you take it away? Hearing this, Yu Fengfeng couldn't help rolling her eyes. Your son is a grown man, can the army do without him? As she said that, she pinched a small piece of egg cake and put it into Xiao Miao Miao's mouth. Xiao Miao Miao had already eaten a piece, but she was indeed not full. Now she could eat another piece. She was so happy that her eyes narrowed. When the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law saw that the egg cake was really eaten by a little girl, their faces suddenly changed. For a little girl, one piece is enough. How can she eat 2 pieces? Isn't this a waste? Watching the egg cake being fed piece by piece, Hu Indi was furious. But these words directly touched Lin Wanshu's red line. Her face sank, and she said in a cold voice, Meow Meow is my daughter, and the apple of my eye. I steamed this egg cake specially for her. I invite you to eat it, because we are all military families, but it doesn't mean you can tell my daughter and me what to do. Hearing Lin Wanshu's ruthless words, Hu Indi felt embarrassed. Seeing that the little girl was still eating her egg cake, she was furious and cursed without thinking. What are you so proud of? You are a woman who can't give birth to a son, and you are worthy of eating such good food? Who knows how your man despises you in his heart? Hearing this, Yu Fengfeng couldn't bear it anymore. She slammed the table, stood up, pointed at her nose and cursed.
Bah!
You feudal old thing, I've disliked you for a long time. What right do you have to look down on girls? Aren't you a woman? Isn't your mother a woman? If you want to be feudal, go back to your home. This is the military family compound. Lin Wanshu quickly reached out her hand and took away the half-eaten egg cake in front of Huindi. Since you look down on female compatriots so much, then don't eat this egg cake. Huindi didn't expect that they actually took away all the egg cakes, and she was so angry that she jumped to her feet.
You.
How can you be so shameless? How can you take something away after it has been given away? You scolded me and my daughter, and you still want to eat my egg cake. Who is shameless? Lin Wanshu said, throwing the beans with worm holes all over the basket back into her arms. Take these beans back, and I will just pretend that you have never been here today. Holding the beans she picked out, Huindi was shaking with anger. Huang Fengying, who was standing by, saw her mother-in-law being humiliated, and she felt an indescribable joy in her heart, but at the same time, a twisted unwillingness and jealousy also surged up. How could she be so tough? Obviously, she was a